A lot of people, or some, may be surprised that they're undefeated. Their new head coach, though, has been in this system. They have a lot of upperclassmen. I know you're not surprised.
Well, Jamie Dixon's been around Ben Howland for quite some time, and that young man right there, Julius Page, has been a big key, especially when Krauser went down with the groin injury.
Well, another big key is the fact that Pittsburgh plays great defense. You got the athleticism of Miami, the defense of Pittsburgh. Something has got to give today at the Convocation Center. Big East basketball is coming up next, right here.
It's Dan's Auto Parts, no matter when or where. It's Dan's Auto Parts, whatever's waiting there around these parts. Trouble doesn't stand a chance. For the best parts, people and price, we're ready in advance. Yeah, bring it on.
The average American has 14 credit cards, pays $83 a month in interest alone.
I'm Kevin Martin for H&R Block Mortgage. Call us today to get control over credit card and other debt. With mortgage interest rates as low as they've been in years, it makes perfect sense to refinance now. H&R Block Mortgage makes it simple. Call for a free custom mortgage analysis.
Call 800-477-7064 for your free no-obligation custom analysis.
This Big East game is brought to you by Hyundai. Only Hyundai has America's best warranty. 10 years, 100,000 miles. Hyundai, win. And by Cooper Tire, proud to be the official tire of the Big East Conference. Cooper Tires, don't give up a thing. And Pontiac, fuel for the soul. And we welcome you back inside as you get a nice look at South Beach. And last night, Coach, I felt like a dutiful parent trying to keep you under wraps. I had to do everything I could to keep you from going down there.
I appreciate that very much. I'm sure my wife appreciates that too.
Well, that was the point. You look at these starting lineups, I think the biggest thing that we were not necessarily surprised about, but the biggest concern was the health of Carl Krauser. He's going to give it a go. I know you talked to Coach Dixon before in the locker room. They're going to give him a go.
Well, he's done a good job in practice. The big key now is how long can he go? He missed 2 weeks of practice. Is he healthy enough? Is conditioning enough that he can go for a long stretch in this game?
And he's done an outstanding job so far. And if you look at Jamie Dixon, he hadn't lost a game. He should get out right now.
No question. What I talked about on top of the show, that he's been around Ben Howland for a long time, meaning that this transition is a seamless transition for the Pittsburgh Panthers in that he has that kind of experience.
And on the other side, Perry Clark, I don't think a lot of people realize he's won more games in a short period than any coach at the University of Miami. For him, though, I know coming off the tough loss at North Carolina, it's very important to get the response he needs from his players today, being back at home in their Big East opener.
Well, I think it's going to be very important that they come out with a good showing, and especially Armando Surratt. He's got to overcome a lack of confidence, maybe going 1 for 10 at UNC with 6 turnovers. I think he's the key for Miami to have a good showing against this aggressive Pittsburgh defense.
Well, I mentioned we saw the sights of South Beach. I'll take this over the alternative. You look at Syracuse -4, Miami 65. I don't know if your brittle bones could handle Syracuse today. It's probably a good thing you're here.
Well, we both grew up in the Northeast, but we're both very happy to be down here in sunny South Florida.
There's no question about it. And for Pittsburgh, you know, we mentioned off the top, Matt, that they are an upper-class-laden team, and whether people are surprised or not that they come in here undefeated, they have so many guys who've been through the rigors of Big East play. So guys who are 22, 23, even upwards of 24 years of old, going on the road in the Big East, it's old hat for them.
It's not that big of a deal. Matter of fact, some experienced teams that I've been on enjoyed playing on the road more because there are less distractions. You love to go on someone else's home court and quiet the crowd.
And certainly winning on the road, I know it feels like winning a game and a half. And if you're Miami in your Big East opener, you don't want to lose. You want to hold serve at home. And it's very important, particularly off the loss at North Carolina, for them to come out and give a good showing here today. We're ready to tip it up. A veteran crew, and we're underway from the Convocation Center. And I mentioned Carl Krauser, Matt. One of the things we can look at with him, he missed 4 games with the groin injury, but they got very good play from their backups.
They did get very good play, and that's where the experience comes in. Julius Page, Jerron Brown right there with the layup. Jerron Brown is a 5th-year senior. He's 24 years old, so he's not going to be afraid of anything.
Yeah, no question about it. An easy layup right there for Jerron Brown, who has been around this Pittsburgh program, I'm sure, for a lot of Big East fans, it seems like too long. And Darius Rice, his first shot, and that was one of the things, Coach, right there, and you had the follow on the offensive rebound from Diaz. He did not get enough touches in that game against North Carolina.
Well, he didn't, but when he did, he either turned it over or missed the shot. I think the big thing for Darius is he has to be patient. This team is going to be very stingy, and that jumper he took over Troutman was a contested jump shot.
And already you've seen really a couple of uncontested layups right there, some very good interior passing by Chevy Troutman. If you look at Miami so far this year, 9-1 at home, and as I mentioned, you always want to hold serve in Big East play and conference play on your home floor.
Well, especially when your next 2 games as conference play are both on the road at St. John's and at Virginia Tech.
Pittsburgh has become so known for their defense, and we'll talk more about it as the broadcast goes along, as a guy who looks like he's more suited to be at the Orange Bowl than at the Convocation Center. Roderick Jawe gets a layup to cut the lead to 4-2.
He's a big man, and that was something they worked on yesterday in practice, was getting the ball inside, getting some touches, not only for scoring opportunities, but so Pittsburgh's defense will collapse, create more openings on the perimeter.
And a good rebound there by Diaz, and that's another interior look, though, for Pittsburgh. They are doing a decent job, Matt. They're getting a lot of touches inside the lane.
They are a very unselfish team. They love to pass the basketball. I asked Coach Dixon about Chevy Troutman. Only had 1 field goal attempt in his last game against Virginia Tech, and he talked about how much they want to pass the ball. In some ways, they overpass, and passing is contagious with this team.
And right there you see Darius Wright putting the ball on the deck and going to the hole. That's something I know you would like to see him do more of, because he has the skills to be a multifaceted player, but he does take a lot of three-point shots.
He takes a lot of three-point shots. Not only for this team does he need to take the ball to the basket and show that he can put the ball on the floor, but if he wants to make it in the NBA, he's got to be able to do more than just spot-up jump shots.
And right then you see Julius Page, who got in the lane. This is a kid who has played so many games at Pittsburgh. 107 of 115 games that he's played at Pittsburgh. Now this is 108. He has started. That is such a rarity in college basketball.
One thing that I really impressed right here, look at his strength. See how height has to bounce off him? He creates that space with that left shoulder as he gets into the paint. Height bounces off him, then he can go up for an uncontested jump shot that gets fouled. So that strength of this team, that comes with the maturity. When you look at the size of these Pittsburgh players, not only are they mature mentally, but physically mature as well.
You know, if you're going to nitpick a team that's undefeated, one area that will prove maybe costly unless they improve it down the road is free throw shooting. As a team, this is one area that has plagued them so far this year.
Well, I've observed that, and I've talked to their coaches about that, and there's going to be a lot of close games, and it's going to come down to foul shooting, and that's an area where they certainly can improve it.
6-4 Pittsburgh leads, just over 17 minutes left. We're glad you joined us. Put another log on the fire if you're up in the Northeast. We're here down here in sunny Florida, and happy to have you with us. And a pretty good offensive move right there, Coach, by Jawe, but he just couldn't get it to go.
A very good offensive move. However, nobody on Miami's team went to the offensive boards. When the shot goes up, you've got to have at least 3 guys going to the glass.
And Tim Higgins whistles the foul. I believe he might have that on Surratt.
Well, here we go with the hand check. Krauser again showing some strength. He's only a sophomore, but he is a third-year sophomore. And again, the strength to drive to the basket against sophomore Surratt.
And off the inbound, Chevy Troutman gets in the lane. Another guy who looks like he could be over at the Orange Bowl playing football.
Yeah, but that defense right there, Darius Rice, he closes out, leaves his feet against Chevy Troutman. You'd want Chevy Troutman shooting a contested outside shot. You don't want him getting closer into the basket area. He's shooting a very high percentage with easy shots like that.
Well, right there, a very good interior feed by Robert Height, and that's the second bucket that Darius Rice has gotten in the paint. And so for him, he misses his first three, and he comes back and he goes to the hole. That's a great way to jumpstart your offense.
I think it is. It gets into the flow of the game, and anytime the ball's going through the hoop for you, you're going to be more active on the defensive end.
And if you looked at Miami, I think one thing that the other night showed is that, you know, defensively in transition they were hurt, but they've got to play better overall man-to-man defense as Chris Taft, the freshman, scores in the paint. Another bucket from close range for Pittsburgh, 10-6. And a good start really for both teams. I mentioned Pittsburgh, all of their points have been in the paint. In Miami, a couple of buckets for Darius Rice in the paint as well, as we've got a turnover in Julius Page with numbers.
Great step in by Jawe right there. Dribble penetration, a little out of control, and Jawe steps in, puts that big body in the ball handler's path and draws the charge.
Well, you got a pretty good start from Miami. 10-6, 15-24 to go. First half.
The more you discover about the Hyundai Elantra, the more it makes sense. It's loaded with standard features like AC and power everything. Plus, only Hyundai has America's best warranty, 10 years, 100,000 miles. It's $1,600 less than a Honda Civic LX when comparably equipped. In fact, the 2004 Hyundai Elantra starts at just $13,889. When your car makes this much sense, you win. Get a 2004 Elantra with up to $2,750 cash back or a 0% APR.
Cooper Tire is proud to be the official tire of the Big East Conference. Cooper Tires, don't give up a thing.
I'm Jorge Posada, and today I'm trying to hit a home run for children who suffer from craniosynostosis. Craniosynostosis is a medical condition which occurs when the bones in the infant's skull fuses together and stop growing while the brain continues to grow. Our son Jorge Jr. was successfully treated, but more children could use your help.
Please get involved today by logging on to jorgeposada.com/foundation or by calling us toll-free at 1-866-823-0005. With your help, we can make a difference in a child's life.
Women today are fighting for their lives. More than half of the new HIV infections are among women, and if you don't think you're at risk, think again. I'm Rebecca Armstrong, and I am one of more than 1 million Americans living with HIV today. I got infected because I didn't think I was at risk, but I'm alive today because I got tested and I got treatment. Do yourself a favor. Get tested for HIV today. You can call this number for more information to find out where.
Welcome you back to Big East basketball. Pittsburgh 10-6 over Miami, 15-24 to go in the first half, and it's time now for our Pontiac Top Performance of the Week. And Matt, Billy Edelin, a young man who provides so much for Syracuse University, has had an outstanding week.
Well, he's an old school kind of player, can really finish at the basket. He's just a smart basketball player, and he's helping Syracuse kind of get a jump start on where they left off last year.
And we know they're at home today, and they got a big one on the road that we'll talk about a little bit later on, but we're back underway here. One of the things I want you to have an opportunity to talk about is the athleticism of these Miami guards as the day unfolds. As Robert Height, who coming off a career high at North Carolina with 27 points, hits his first shot. That's a good start for him.
Well, I think one thing I talked about with the assistants at Miami is he's not deferring to anyone this year. Robert Height now is a sophomore, more experienced. James Jones is gone to the NBA, the Indiana Pacers. He feels it's his time to help this program take it to the next level.
And Torrey Morris has entered the game for Pittsburgh.
And here we see a zone. They call it the 3-drop. It's a zone that they worked on in practice yesterday, and I think that Pittsburgh was getting some easy opportunities, so they decided to go to this zone. They should stick with the zone because it was a three-pointer, not a layup that they gave up.
This game is produced and distributed by ESPN Regional Television Incorporated. And you looked at that three-pointer by Drew. He's fairly well contested by height, but Page showing great range.
Well, showed great range, but that's a shot you'd rather give up, a contested three, as opposed to the layups that Pittsburgh was getting earlier in the game.
I mentioned Torrey Morris into the game for Pittsburgh, a 6'10 senior who, again, another upperclassman that Jamie Dixon can call on off the bench. And right then, you probably didn't have the right guy with the ball on that break, Coach.
Well, ideally, you want Carl Krauser, the point guard, in the middle of the break. But I love right here the defense of Chevy Troutman. Chevy Troutman showed great foot speed in staying with Darius Rice. That might not have been a walk, but it was so quick.
It looked like a pretty good jump stop.
Not that I've ever questioned the call of an official before.
No, not ever. You were questioning him an hour, but you were talking to somebody back in the press room about calls 2 hours before the game. Give it a rest.
That was a nice move there by Darius Rice. Off the block a little bit. Reverse pivot, face-up jump shot.
And one and done for Pittsburgh on the other end, and that's something I know Perry Clark is happy to see. Very good transition, and Darius Rice off to a good start, and all of his points around the basket.
Well, right there, when the point guard takes a jumper from the corner, defensive balance is critical. The two guard must get back, and ideally the three guard help as well. The point guard misses that jump shot, leads to a long rebound and a run out by Darius Rice. Nice pass for the layup.
You got to believe that Perry Clark is pretty pleased with the response he's gotten from his players so far after what could have been characterized as somewhat demoralizing what happened to them in the second half of Carolina as we get a turnover.
Here we go with that player just talked about. Missed jumper by the point guard in the corner. Jaway with the rebound. Great outlet to the side to Surratt. I love the bounce pass to Darius Rice, but the missed jumper from the corner leads to a long rebound. No defensive balance by Pittsburgh because the point guard was the one who took the shot in the deep corner. And that's the farthest point on the floor. You have to recover to the basket.
And Miami has made its last 4 field goals. And also on that, you saw Surratt didn't get too deep before making that bounce pass. Now 5 in a row, 5 straight field goals for Miami as they take the lead 14-13 with 12:30 to go in the first half.
Well, we talked earlier that it's important for Surratt to have a big game. If he has a good game, then Height and Rice will have good games as a result. And it looks like Surratt's playing with a great deal of confidence here.
And Guillermo Diaz has been whistled for the foul, and again, another contested three. Guillermo Diaz, in terms of athleticism, there may not be anybody in this building with the exception of you who has more athleticism than Guillermo Diaz. Well, tongue-in-cheek, of course.
He's got a 41-inch vertical, which I've never heard of a 41-inch vertical before, at least not my neighborhood. But Diaz right there, you don't want to foul a jump shooter. That's a cardinal sin. That's where experience comes in. He's a freshman. That's something that he'll learn. And experience, I was talking to Coach Clark after practice. We talked about experience. Experience is a big thing. You have to go through these things. You can talk about them all you want, but now Diaz fouled the jump shooters, given up 3 foul shots, and he'll learn next time not to do that.
And Diaz has shown early on he's made a pretty nice transition to the college level. And for those folks not aware, he is to say he's a great athlete, he was recruited by some Pac-10 schools to play volleyball. He's one of the premier volleyball players at his age globally.
Well, he is definitely an athletic young man, but also a good basketball player. He had 17 points at North Carolina.
And Chris Taft has checked back in also for Miami. Gary Hamilton and Karan Clark have checked in for Perry Clark.
Karan Clark is a Brooklyn native, probably went up against Chris Taft in their Brooklyn days. Also played at Winchendon Academy, where a friend of mine, Michael Burns, is the head coach.
Pittsburgh, they are certainly known for that man-to-man defense, and they have done a remarkable job, you know, doing what they did last year, keeping opponents under 60, but also field goal percentage.
Well, that field goal percentage defense, to me, that's how you measure a good defensive team. You can keep opponents down scoring-wise if you hold the ball on offense. But to me, a true indicator is field goal percentage defense.
In Miami now with 6 straight, Gary Hamilton off the bench with the elbow jumper. The offensive start that they certainly needed. We've gotten a good offensive start by both teams, and Julius Page has already got 8. 5 of them from the free throw line. And Julius Page taking another 3. He's not been bashful at all. The young man who has an outside shot of maybe becoming the all-time three-point shooter in Pittsburgh history.
Right there, Diaz was the same guy contesting Page and didn't come near a foul, but yet got a hand up on the jump shot. He takes it to the basket, shows some strength. You want to get to the foul line. That's something Miami needs to work more on, is getting to the foul line. They're not getting fouled as much as they'd like, and the way to do that is to throw the ball inside or dribble penetrate.
And that was Antonio Graves who fouled him, who is checked in, who did a very nice job, a very competent job substituting for Carl Krauser in the 4 games that he missed, and also Mark McCarroll, who's been very hot of late, checked in. And with that, we've got our under 12 timeout. 18-16 so far. Miami on the break right here. Good start for both teams. Big East basketball continues.
Take advantage of great lease and finance rates. Only through January 31st.
What are you holding now? A six-pack. A six-pack? Brilliant! What's it do?
Well, I've figured out how to carry 6 beers at the same time.
Carry 6 beers at the same time? Brilliant! Let's drink them.
You know, I've been thinking, it might not be the smartest idea to drink 6 beers at the same time.
Don't drink 6 beers at the same time. Brilliant! Brilliant!
Drink Guinness Draught straight from the bottle, and always enjoy it responsibly.
Brilliant!
Time. It's always against you, especially when you want to be on vacation. Just go to Hertz.com and sign up for Hertz #1 Club with Express Service. It's free. You'll spend less time at the counter. Get special discounts, too. At Hertz, we know exactly how you feel. So we have exactly what you need.
The nation's best high school basketball showcase returns to Trenton, New Jersey when the IO's primetime shootout tips off at Sovereign Bank Arena from February 6th through 8th. 8 teams from USA Today's Super 25 rankings highlight the event, including a matchup between New York's Sebastian Telfair and Atlanta's Dwight Howard, 2 of the country's most highly touted recruits. For a complete schedule, visit primetimeshootout.net. Tickets can be purchased by calling Ticketmaster at 609-520-8383 or visiting Ticketmaster.com. Tickets are also available at the Sovereign Bank Arena box office. Don't miss your chance to watch tomorrow's superstars today.
18-16, Miami leads from the Convocation Center. 11-11 to go in the first half. And we take a look at the Big East standings. And Pittsburgh with the longest winning streak in America so far, Matt. 1-0. They beat Virginia Tech the other night. What surprises you when you look at these standings? Anything particular?
Well, quite frankly, the standings don't mean a whole lot right now because they've only played 1 game. But I think that the competition, you're talking about some of the teams in this league that are very good, that are going to get better when you have the addition of Louisville, Cincinnati, Marquette, DePaul next year. This is going to be maybe the best basketball conference in the country next year.
And one thing you anticipated, talking to the Miami coaches at practice yesterday, you thought they would play a lot of zone as Antonio Graves knocks down his first shot from beyond the arc, and that's what we're seeing right now.
Well, they're not known as a three-point shooting team, so if I'm Perry Clark, I'm not too worried about a contested three-point shot. At least they're not going in and getting foul trouble and shooting 78% around the basket like Chevy Troutman is capable of.
And a great block right there by Mark McCarroll on Darius Rice. And Julius Page converts on the other end. And I know that Jamie Dixon was looking for a foul because Darius Rice literally pulled McCarroll down at the end of the Pittsburgh bench, but they still converted on the other end. And Page already, Matt, has got 10 points in the first 10 minutes of this game.
Well, he's feeling too comfortable. Right there is a turnover that you can't have as a point guard. His teammate was open. It should have delivered the ball more towards the inside and ideally a bounce pass. And not only did he turn it over, but then he tried to stop the break high, and that's something we could talk about a little bit later. When you stop the break high, you're not guarding the goal, and good teams will beat you for layups.
And so far, though, Miami doing a pretty good job valuing the basketball. Only 3 turnovers. Great interior pass by Mark McCarroll for the dunk to Chris Taft, who I know you're familiar with.
Well, Chris Taft is a great young man. Some people have compared him to Chris Wilcox, who played at Maryland, who's now in the NBA. He's been terrific. Chris Taft has been terrific as a rebounder, shot blocker, and a passer. He's a very unselfish player.
Right now, Pittsburgh's on a 7-0 run, but right then a pretty good pass back out to Diaz. He just wasn't able to convert, and Diaz gets the turnover on the other end. And this is what they want to do.
Well, this is Miami's game. They like to go up and down a little bit more maybe than Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh certainly has some players that can do both. They've got great ball handlers, great perimeter quickness at the 1, 2, and 3 spot.
And Jamie Dixon's going to get some changes in there. I think he's going to get a 30-second timeout, 23-18. I mentioned the 7-0 run that they're on with 8:59 to go in the first half. And I think that maybe what happens sometimes is that your offense gets undervalued when you're so good defensively.
Well, here's a turnover. One thing I want to talk about, the bounce pass. This has to be a bounce pass. If that's a bounce pass, the only way Diaz can stop the ball is by kicking it. When I played for Coach Smith, he always would say, a bounce pass is a feeding pass. At North Carolina, we never made that pass right there. It had to be a bounce pass. And it also gives a big man an opportunity. It's a slower pass. It gives him more time to react to it, catch it, and then finish.
You look at the turnovers, and certainly that was the one thing that really bothered Coach Clark the other night. 22 turnovers at Chapel Hill, and right there you see another one.
Another turnover right there. That could have been a bounce pass. He should have had it leading more towards the basket. He threw it behind him, an opportunity for Pittsburgh to get in and steal the basketball.
And a very good block right there by Karan Clark. And Miami is going to try to get out and take their opportunities in transition. If they're not there, they'll go back out. And are you surprised at all at the quality of shots that Miami has gotten so far in this half? They shoot a pretty good percentage.
I am a little surprised. I think they've been very patient. They've done a good job of moving the basketball. And I think for the most part, with maybe a couple of shots, Darius Rice has let the game come to him. Good post move by Taft, but the weak side help right there with Clark blocking that shot. Usually the shot is blocked not by the man guarding the ball, but a help side defender, as in the case of Clark coming from the weak side to get his Brooklyn buddy, Chris Taft.
And off the inbounds, there was a turnover. Yuri Dimitris is checked in for Jamie Dixon. And Miami is going back to the man-to-man.
Well, it's good to mix up defenses so teams don't get a rhythm, and I think Pittsburgh was getting a little bit of a rhythm. So far, what I've seen, Miami's made the mistake of leaving their feet on closeouts.
That's a great look right there, splitting the double team and finding Chris Taft for the dunk. 25-18, Pittsburgh.
That play right there is what I call their go play. At the end of a shot clock, usually with 10 seconds to go on a shot clock, most teams go into a set play. Pittsburgh has run that twice and got the easy shots both times. Now, that's a play that Miami probably knows is coming. They've got to do a better job of defending it.
Terrific defensive play by Antonio Graves on Robert Height, getting the block. And right now, Antonio Graves playing with Carl Krause. Does that surprise you at all that these two guys are playing together?
No, they're very interchangeable. Graves is a combo guard, can play the 1 or the 2.
And a great interior pass by Yuri Dimitris to Chevy Troutman. Using the bounce pass, as you illustrated. Perry Clark's not going to wait for the under 8 timeout. 27-18 Pittsburgh right now. They're doing a very good job of getting the ball inside.
They are moving the ball. They're very unselfish. Here's that ball screen again. They step through the double team. You've got to go hip to hip on that double team. Chris Taft with a nice dunk, but that was all orchestrated off the ball screen, which Chris Taft set. When they come to a double team, you've got to go hip to hip. You cannot let the offensive player split that trap.
You know, one thing right now with Pittsburgh on an 11-0 run, if you look at Pittsburgh's upcoming schedule, I know having coached in the Big East, this is a tough turnaround. because they'll go right back home, and they got to prepare for Notre Dame at home on Monday night.
Well, fortunately for Jamie, Notre Dame is playing Villanova at Villanova, so they're both playing the same day. However, you've got to travel from Miami and get back to Pittsburgh. That's a long haul, and that quick turnaround, 2 games in 3 days, is a big, big challenge.
Yeah, the 11-0 run by Pittsburgh. Also on there, a Rutgers team that took Connecticut to the mat the other day, and Connecticut and Syracuse. Very tough stretch for Pittsburgh, but that's the way it is. That's, you know, you can say that about every team in every major conference.
Well, I'm laughing to myself because I'm sitting here, and I'm not worried about next week's schedule.
Actually, you were laughing out loud. That was not to yourself. Pittsburgh on an 11-0 run, 6:59 left in the first half.
Advanced Auto Parts, no matter when or where.
There's nothing worse than being ready to go and your car won't. So we're ready in advance. Ready with the right equipment, the right people, and the right parts. All at ready to go, low prices. And if it's your battery, we'll install it for free. So bring it on. We're ready in advance.
For the best parts, people and price, we're ready in advance. Yeah, bring it on.
You see that? Now, just what compels a man to drive a car like that? I mean, how about a little style? Would some power be too much to ask? Not in my world. The 2004 Grand Prix GT with the largest V6 in its class. The new power of Pontiac. That's fuel for the soul.
You know what I'm saying? You got to do what you got to do to survive on the court. I didn't care what nobody did. I was going to be prepared for this. There's no way nobody was going to beat me.
The ultimate one-on-one basketball challenge. Tonight at 6 on Yes.
Anybody who comes to Continental Arena will see the excitement and the energy. No place like home.
And the Meadowlands erupt.
This is going to be our best season yet. We have the most talent that we've had in my 3 years here, and I think we're going to win the whole thing this year.
Next 6-game holiday plans are on sale now. Get the same seat for each game and playoff priority. Prices start at just $210 per seat for all 6 games. Call 1-800-7-NJ-NETS.
Be on the A-list for the Yes Network Center Stage. Call 212-871-YANKS for free tickets and be a part of our studio audience as Michael Kay hosts the biggest names in sports and entertainment. For information on upcoming guests, log on to YesNetwork.com.
27-18 from the Convocation Center, 6:59 left, first half. And we're going to take a look at some scores today. Wake Forest, who I know you're very impressed with, Matt, has already beaten Clemson at home. And Wisconsin, Michigan State, it's the struggles continue. And if you look at Florida, wow, second half to the tune of 21 right now at Tennessee. And I think a lot of people thought Louisville would beat South Florida, not by 40.
Hey, it's a lot easier sitting on this sideline as I was talking about next week's schedule for Jamie Dixon. I don't have to worry about, playing Connecticut and Syracuse. It's kind of nice. I sleep very well this year.
And right then, Darius Rice, his second three-point attempt of the afternoon is no good. And Pittsburgh continuing on that 11-0 run. They've made 5 of their last 6. And Surratt gets the turnover, and he just can't quite finish. Wow.
We'll call Krauser right there. Just a nonchalant turnover. Is that due to his injury? Is it due to timing? Is it due that he's missed 2 weeks of practice? I don't know, but that was a sloppy turnover right there. He needs to take better care of basketball.
Alongside Matt Doherty, I am Gary Williams. We're happy you joined us for Big East basketball at the Convocation Center in Miami. The Big East Conference opener for Miami, Pittsburgh having already beaten Virginia Tech at home. And home has been where the wins have been for Pittsburgh. They have been unbelievable in their ability to not only win in their new building, but transition. They were winning games in the old building before moving to the Peterson Center. They have got one of the longest and most impressive streaks in America with home wins.
They do. They've won a bunch of them in their new arena. The Peterson Center is a beautiful place. I'm looking forward to seeing it hopefully someday soon.
Well, that's why Chris Taft was recruited by quite a number of schools. If he shows the ability, as you look right here, show his ability right there offensively.
Well, notice the strength right there. Xiaowei, pretty strong guy, and Taft is not backing down. To be able to shoot a jump hook off the block look like that is an incredible asset to have for a big man.
And he completes the three-point play, 30-18, and he's also had a good start to this game with 9, and Miami has gone cold. Just as I mentioned that they've been getting a lot of good looks, they have not scored a basket in over 5 minutes. They really need to stop the drought here and go in at the half feeling pretty decent about themselves. And there it is right there. Robert Height elevating at the foul line. That one of the 5 guys, Matt, on this team with a vertical of over 35. You said you were not in that neighborhood. You're not in that zip code.
Well, Height with that dribble, drive, pull-up, that's hard to guard. He could probably get that shot anytime he wants.
And on the other end, Jerron Brown got a pretty good look in the offensive rebound. That's what he does. He's the lunch pail guy. Chevy traveling with the offensive stick back. 32-20 Pittsburgh.
Well, that's one of the staples for this Pittsburgh team is offensive boards, just rebounding, period. That's an area where Miami has to do a better job. They got clobbered on the boards by Carolina. Lost the rebounding battle by 20. They've got to bring it here on the boards today.
You know, you hear the term, this kid's got to step up. Robert Height has certainly answered the call this year. He has doubled his scoring average over last year. Right then, back-to-back makes the pull-up jumper and right then the long 3.
Well, he's showing it to us all. He can put it down and drive, pull up. He can hit the deep 3. Very, very talented kid who's really come into his own this year.
Chris Tapp with the miss. Another offensive rebound, but Jerron Brown stepped on the line. But Jamie Dixon, he can handle that. I mean, the offensive rebounding of this team, and if you look at Chevy Troutman, here, Coach, is an example of offensive rebounding.
Well, watch, everyone's looking at the ball. No one's boxing out. Darius Rice just gets ridden up to the foul line. Darius has to turn and find Troutman on that shot.
And right here on the other end, you get the Robert Height 3 from the corner.
Well, you see him sprint to the corner, look at his man. His hands were down. Julius Page can't give him that kind of room. But last time somebody got burned, a Pittsburgh player got burned on the dribble drive. So they're respecting the dribble penetration. Height looked at his hands and buried the jumper in his face.
Wow, what an athletic move by Guillermo Diaz. Not afraid to go into the lane and try to finish, and he absorbed contact, and that's impressive for a young man to be able to finish after taking the body blow he did.
Especially against the strong Pittsburgh Panther players.
Mark McCarroll may be a little bit out of his range, but it's hard to question his range. He's been shooting at over 70% in the last 6 games, and again, Diaz trying to go into the lane and has it swatted out of bounds. 32-25, Pittsburgh leads. 3:54 to go, first half for Miami.
Love, 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 love.
Pity
love,
the
love,
human male.
Sex, 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 sex. Love. Sex. Love, love, love. Love, 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 love.
Sex. But every once in a magical while,
Rolling Rock, love one.
there's something they can both understand. And the chain of life marches gloriously on.
Rolling Rock beer. Grab a rock.
Cooper Tire is proud to be the official tire of the Big East Conference. Cooper Tires, don't give up a thing.
For specials that are truly special, turn to Yes.
I enjoyed it. I loved it.
When you want more than just the score,
He struck him out. Number 4,000.
Yes is serving up critically acclaimed original specials.
It's overwhelming.
Including superstar spotlights,
He is the Babe Ruth of Japan.
historical documentaries,
It's one of the best baseball movies ever done.
and one-of-a-kind events.
This is a dream come true for me.
For specials that are truly special, turn to Yes.
With a more powerful engine, control track 4-wheel drive, and advanced track stability system, Ford Explorer makes winter a blast. Now during year-end clearance, get the #1 selling Ford Explorer for just $269 a month. Just $269 for a well-equipped Explorer XLT 4x4. Hurry into year-end clearance now at your Tri-State Quality Ford store.
32-25, Pittsburgh leads. 3:54 to go first half from Miami. And we were mentioning the streaks. Wow, 15 in a row to start the year. Jamie Dixon has not lost a game, and they have certainly elevated themselves. It's you know, to talk about elite status, that can be an argument, but in terms of what they've done over the last 2 years, they're in the company of the Kansases and the Dukes, Matt.
Well, Duke's behind them with 34 consecutive home wins. I think a lot of things go into that. Jamie Dixon, Ben Howland, good players, a new facility. A lot of things go into that win streak right there. They've got it going on in Pittsburgh.
Well, and the other thing they have, which is an anomaly in college basketball at the high level, is a dearth of upperclassmen, which is something you don't hear or see a lot of.
Well, I don't know what dearth means, but, you know, they've got a lot of old guys on that team.
How about, is the word glut, is that a good word for you?
Why do you try to show people up that you know the English language? Why do you do that?
See, we're already having problems. See, you couldn't even make it to halftime.
Dearth. I mean, dearth. Do you use that word at home? I mean, like, a lot? Gosh, dearth.
Roderick Yahweh is at the line. Let me digress and get back to the game. We'll work on your vocabulary later. And if you look at this young man, my gosh, I mean, there are a couple kids out here. We've already seen Torrey Morris, who goes about 280. And Roderick Yahweh, I know that Kellen Winslow Jr. is a heck of a tight end for the University of Miami football team. I would like to see number 14 catching passes. Julius Page, again, not afraid to take that three, and right then he had an open look, but he wasn't able to convert. And right now, would you say that this is a good opportunity for Miami? Just over 3 minutes to go, only down 6. You got to feel they have to feel pretty good about themselves.
Well, I'm big on momentum, and you want to carry some momentum going in at halftime. That was a big shot right there for them to get it to now to 4 with 3 minutes to go. They want to close the gap as you go into halftime so that they feel they can come in the second half and win this basketball.
And they have done just that, a 10-2 run right now, Miami, and Gary Hamilton giving them production off the bench, and that's really what they need from those post players. There's no questioning the athleticism of their perimeter players.
One thing I noticed, Gary, is when that shot went up by Hamilton, nobody went to the offensive boards, okay? Here we have the replay. There's strength on strength right there. A little off balance. The Diaz was coming. It got Troutman off balance, and he took a little baby step right there.
And, yeah, you saw the help defense right there. The 7th turnover for Pittsburgh. And, again, Miami trying to continue to cut into that lead. Diaz got a pretty good look, but he just couldn't get it to go down.
There's a ball screen right there, Gary. You got to show out on that ball screen. You can't let Krauser just turn the corner. He lost his handle for a second, but that ball screen has given Miami some trouble here in the first half.
And another turnover right there. Mark McCarroll contesting with Jim Haney. Do you feel like Miami has done a better job when they've been in man or when they've been in zone?
I think that the shots that Miami got against that zone early were contested jump shots, and then they started getting the ball inside. I like the fact that they're changing up. The biggest thing to me is two things. One, their closeouts have to be better. When they go to contest the shot, they can't leave their feet. And then two, when a shot goes up, everybody has to turn and find a dark jersey and keep them off the offensive boards.
And certainly, as you know, rebounding out of the zone is always considered to be more difficult, and I know you know that to be a fact.
It is. It's something you have to work on. When I was at Notre Dame, we played zone exclusively, but we worked on boxing out every day. That's a pet peeve of mine. Anybody can box out.
And right there, Robert Height showing his ability. He's a left-hander and going glass, and he's cut this lead to 2. A 12-2 run by Miami, and it's got this crowd at the Convocation Center rising to their feet.
Jamie Dixon's calling for one up. That's the ball screen play right there. And I think they call a cheap one on Yahweh for pushing Troutman out. That one-up play right there is that ball screen that they usually use at the end of a shot clock. But Jamie, I do believe, feels that Miami hadn't handled the ball screen real well, so he wants to take advantage of it.
We got a look at Bob Donato now. This is I mentioned a very veteran crew, and we're going to see the elevation. Mercy.
That's the momentum I talked about. If they can carry this through for the next minute 19, you got a ball game here in the second half. Now, Let's test the poise of this Pittsburgh Panther team. Their experience versus the athleticism of the Miami Hurricanes.
And Jerron Brown, he stops the run. Miami looking for a travel, and it seems like Jerron Brown is always making big plays for this team, and right then stopping the big run by Miami.
Well, there's the 24-year-old, fifth-year senior, Jerron Brown, who's very settled and comfortable in that situation, made a big, big play with that little jump shot in the lane.
But you really see confidence and momentum right then, and you're going to get to see the elevation of one of the best volleyball players. He can play hoops.
I don't know what you want to say right there, but I was really impressed, not only with the dunk, but of shooting the gap. The bounce pass there was a slow pass, and I stress that that's a good thing sometimes when you're around the basket, but when you're inbounding the ball or you're out on the perimeter, you don't want bounce passes because they're slow passes, and it gives a guy like Diaz an extra half a second, quarter of a second to shoot the gap and get the steal.
You know, Jauwe, you traditionally, you look at his size as Diaz goes to the bench. He's had a very solid first half. Jauwe is an outstanding free throw shooter. He hasn't, coming into the game, he was 16 of 18 for the line. But normally, you look at a guy like that and go, oh my, who knows where this is going. He's got a very nice touch in the line, and you see it right there, converting both.
Well, he's actually the best foul shooter on the team, right around 89%, and that is very interesting. Usually your post players, your big, strong guys, aren't great foul shooters.
Half was unable to finish.
Right here, all right, there's a foul. I was going to say right here, Miami would wait for the last shot, but however, there's a foul. But no foul shot because there's no bonus situation. So right now, Perry Clark substituting in his best offensive team. You want to let the clock go down to about 8 seconds and then go. And then have an opportunity, if you miss the shot, to get the offensive rebound, but it's critical you don't let Pittsburgh get the last shot of the half. Now, if I'm Pittsburgh, I don't want to sit back and let them get this last shot. So I would come out, if it's me, and try to trap and make them go before they're ready so that maybe they hurry up and get a turnover or a bad shot so that I, as Pittsburgh, end up with the last shot. It looks like Pittsburgh's going to settle back in their man-to-man and let Miami run their play.
The last Miami lead was at 18-16, and they'll have an opportunity to take the lead into the locker room, but we got a steal, and Krauser is on the breakout.
That's just a big, big play. Height came off that screen. He didn't need to shoot that ball. He had plenty of time. Page was right on him. Page got a hand on the ball. That's experience right there. Here's Krauser using his body, jumping into Jauwe. If Jauwe was smart, he would have jumped back with his hands up. Krauser used some savvy there by the New York City savvy by jumping into Jauwe and drawing the foul.
Well, he certainly had a great mentor in Brandon Knight. I mean, he had an opportunity to be an understudy, and not many guys do that. He's a redshirt sophomore as he converts from the line.
Well, we were talking this morning at breakfast that the seamless transition with the coaching staff, but there's also a seamless transition with the point guard position because Krauser now is in his third year at Pittsburgh.
And Chevy Troutman is going to come back in for defensive purposes. And Mark McCarroll is going to check out 2.8, so you would assume that maybe a long pass and try to get a shot right around 30, 35 feet. Jauwe is going to launch. Not necessarily the guy you want to have the ball, but Robert Height, he was the only guy available. But a good first half from the Convocation Center. Miami ends the half on a 14-4 run. Guillermo Diaz finishing with authority. We are ready for the second half from the Convocation Center. And as we do that, I know we're going to take a look at some stats momentarily. But the first half really a story of runs. Pittsburgh had a 14-0 run to take a 12-point lead. Miami answered back with a 14-4 run to end the half. Right out of that.
Well, that's the oldest play in basketball to pick and roll. Both teams are having a problem guarding.
And Chris Taft with the foul. And, Matt, what jumps out at you in the first half?
Well, two things. Pittsburgh, not a good foul shooting team. They're 8 of 8 from the foul line. Miami, a good three-point shooting team, is only 1 of 5. Something has to give in the second half.
And Yahweh, who's done an excellent job. I was getting ready to say he's looked great at the line. That was not so great.
That was not so great, but he'll, I'm sure, rebound here with a swish.
Not quite a swing.
Hit rim.
A little early call from you. But this second half, do you imagine that Miami will do a lot of the same defensively, switching up defenses? They'll show man and play some zone?
I don't know. I think the biggest thing right there is they've got to stay on their feet. They're leaving their feet in the man or the zone. You've got to close out under control. They were fortunate there to get a steal, to get back on the offensive end. Here's another ball screen. Both teams, again, have struggled with the ball screen.
And you get the steal by Krauser, and they've got numbers if they push it. And Page, who had a very good first half, is able to finish. And I think, you talk about momentum, and a lot of people say first 5, last 5. This first 5 minutes important for Miami to keep this crowd in it?
Oh, no question. I think it's important that they keep not only the crowd in it, but keep their confidence up.
And Darius Rice, I know you like seeing that. Putting the ball on the deck, he is skilled enough to do that, and he gets off to a good start in the second half.
Well, there's another ball screen with the 4-5 exchange. Darius catches it. Good pump fake. Got Troutman up in the air. What I would have loved to see him do was get Troutman up in the air and draw a foul. He could have 3 foul shots and a foul on Troutman.
And Krauser, a deep 3 from the corner, and it looked like Armando Surratt was contesting that shot, but Krauser showing good range.
And great confidence. Here's another ball screen. Let's see how they guard it. See the 4-5 exchange? Surratt turns the corner, gets the layup.
And I know you talked about him this morning and his play being a big key. He had a bunch of turnovers the other night, and right then being strong with the basketball and getting all the way to the rim.
Well, he's a talented kid, and again, it's just experience. But the defense has to get better. Diaz cannot let Brown drive from 25 feet in for a layup. And if he does, somebody's got to step in there and draw a charge.
Yeah, I know that, it's nice to talk about gaudy shooting percentages, but a lot of that has to do with what I think you believe are a lot of uncontested shots.
There are a few of them, and I think that they just have to tighten up the screws on the defensive end, and probably both teams. I know Jamie, who has a great defensive team, can't be happy with an easy shot like that.
And Roderick Yahweh is giving them far more offensive production than they're accustomed to.
Well, something they wanted to do is get the ball inside, and they worked on it in practice yesterday, and they're reaping the rewards of that work today here in this game.
He's a young man who only averages 4 a game. He's already doubled that today.
Shouldn't hold the ball. It's good patience. They didn't force a bad shot, but Height shouldn't hold the ball for that long because all you're doing is letting the defense get set.
Wow.
Right there, no one went to the offensive boards on Yahweh's shot. Everyone was out at the three-point line. When he gets the ball and puts it up, you've got to have 2 or 3 guys diving to the offensive board.
Right then you had Page come over and almost create that turnover. Miami was able to get a quick 30-second timeout.
Here's the ball screen. He turns the corner. Nice hesitation dribble for the layup.
We'll be back. Second half continues from Miami.
Advanced Auto Parts, no matter when or where. Advanced Auto Parts, whatever's waiting there around these parts. Trouble doesn't stand a chance. For the best parts, people and price, we're ready in advance. Yeah, bring it on.
With all-wheel drive performance, the BMW 3 Series grips like it's summer, even when it's not. The all-wheel drive BMW 3 Series, starting at $30,545.
Good evening. Follow me, please.
Imagine what America would be like today if Martin Luther King never had a dream. Help keep the dream alive. To find out more about the Martin Luther King Memorial in Washington, D.C., call or log on now.
There's an electricity in the crowd tonight. Postseason feel. The 3-2.
He struck him out. Strikeout number 4,000. And Roger Clemens has just joined an exclusive fraternity. Only 3 members. Nolan Ryan, Steve Colton, and now Roger Clemens. And another magical moment in the Bronx.
43-41, Pittsburgh leading Miami, 16:44 to go in the second half. And Matt, you've talked a lot about ball screens. Here's an example.
Well, this is a play that both teams run. You have the ball screen by the 5-man, and then there's a 4-5 exchange. You'll see Darius Rice come into your pitcher. His man was helping. You have Troutman closing out. Nice pump fake. One dribble for a pull-up jumper. I would have loved to see Darius get Troutman off the feet and then lean in and take a three-pointer and get the foul.
But both teams continuing their good shooting. And a 5-second violation. Tim Higgins whistles on Miami. Well, not what you want, and you can see the expression on Barry Clark's
I know the feeling. You come out of a timeout, you have a play drawn up, you try to execute it, and Pittsburgh shows great defense, getting you a 5-second count.
I mentioned the good shooting, 3 of 4 for both teams, and the gaudy field goal percentage numbers continue to go up. A great departure for Pittsburgh opponents. They're holding opponents to 36% on the season. And after the very good block by Xiaowei, he's having an outstanding afternoon.
He's playing a great game on both ends of the floor. He had a charge earlier, comes over on the help side, and blocks the shot by Brown. The thing I love, too, he doesn't swat it into the first row. He doesn't slap down and get a cheap foul. He kept his hand up and got the rebound. Unfortunately for him, he stepped on the baseline.
I think Tim Higgins, there's a little bit of an issue, a clock issue, but I think we've got that resolved. I think Tim Higgins was, gosh, he was a veteran official when you were in school. And
don't go there.
And Height on that pull-up can't finish. Xiaowei with the offensive rebound.
That is a good play. I like the decision. Height with the pull-up jumper. You had Xiaowei on the boards. Got a hand on it. Missed the tip-in.
You know, this game 43-41 right now, and if you look at this series all time, I would imagine you could say, based on that, very competitive. But look at Miami at home. They've won the last 6 games, and that, I think, would surprise a lot of people, considering how good Pittsburgh has been in the last 4 years when you have the great feed right there to Troutman for the finish.
Well, one, they didn't play here every year, okay? And Leonard Hamilton, before he left for the Wizards, had some great teams here in Miami that were very difficult to beat. Another ball screen. You see the 4-5 exchange. Darius Rice catches it. Now look, if Brown is on him. There's about a 4 or 5 inch differential there. Rice, let's see if they try to take Rice into the post to take advantage of that height advantage he has against Brown.
Well, they didn't right there. You gotta appreciate and respect the gumption of Guillermo Diaz taking it into the paint right there with the offensive foul. 45-41, 15:35 to go. Second half for Miami.
This is a crucial moment for the male. Cohabitation. It is a show of commitment. It is an indication of responsibility. It is love.
Rolling Rock beer. Grab a rock.
You see that? Now, just what compels a man to drive a car like that? I mean, how about a little style? Would some power be too much to ask? Not in my world. The 2004 Grand Prix GT with the largest V6 in its class. The new power of Pontiac. That's fuel for the soul.
NBA's best, it's nothing but net. Wednesday, the Jefferson Starship leads the net as they try to soar over the Washington Wizards at the Swamp. Join Brent Hickman for complete pregame coverage Wednesday starting at 7, only on Yes. The nation's best high school basketball showcase returns to Trenton, New Jersey when the Isles primetime shootout tips off at Sovereign Bank Arena from February 6th through 8th. 8 teams from USA Today's Super 25 rankings highlight the event, including a matchup between New York's Sebastian Telfair and Atlanta's Dwight Howard, two of the country's most highly touted recruits. For a complete schedule, visit primetimeshootout.net. Tickets can be purchased by calling Ticketmaster at 609-520-8383 or visiting Ticketmaster.com. Tickets are also available at the Sovereign Bank Arena box office. Don't miss your chance to watch tomorrow's superstars today. The National Lacrosse League is here on Yes tonight. It's a battle of Northeast rivals as Patrick Merrill leads the Toronto Rock to Rochester to take on Ryan O'Connor and the Nighthawks. Toronto versus Rochester tonight at 10:30 right here on Yes.
45-41, Pittsburgh leading, 15:35 to go. The nation's longest winning streak on the line here today in Coral Gables at the Convocation Center. And we've talked a lot about the gaudy shooting percentages, Matt, by both teams. For Pittsburgh, they have traditionally, at least over the last couple of years, been one of the best in terms of holding their opponents down. I think you're far more impressed, though, with the field goal percentage defense number.
Their field goal percentage defense last year was terrific. It's terrific again this year. Something that jumped out at me in looking at their game notes was last year they were 2 in the country in field goal percentage offense, and right now they're shooting over 60% from the field. Miami's got to do a better job there.
This game is produced and distributed by ESPN Regional Television Incorporated. We certainly thank them. Julius Page out of the timeout with the missed 16-footer. And a really good look ahead. It looked like Surratt was being forced to the sideline, and Robert Hyde had broken out, and he's able to finish at the glass.
Great awareness by Surratt to know his teammate was down court. I thought he was falling out of bounds and was just going to throw it to try to save it, but he knew exactly where his teammate was.
Well, I don't know if he knew exactly where he was, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
I appreciate your support there. Thanks, thanks for shopping.
Krauser again showing the range and not being bashful, and right then Robert Height with a very good rebound, and Torrey Morris going over the top. And let's take a look at the BMW ultimate drive of the game right here. Surratt being forced to the sideline, Matt.
He saw him the whole way.
Oh,
don't question me.
Please.
Don't ever question me. He saw Height the whole way. They are playing as one right now.
As one. You know, you would say that now, Coach, now here's what I ask you, and I've seen this before from you, and Perry Clark's clapping his hands going, sure, love it. He misses that shot. Is he not even on the bench?
No, he's earned that right now.
Oh, okay.
You know, with being in the program, the senior, he's entitled to take that jumper. He's got a great touch, and boy, is he having a heck of a ball game, as we talked about earlier.
He really is. And the turnover right then, and Surratt's got a breakout.
Playing as one, as I said.
Yes. Saw him all the way. And Jimmy Dixon's going to take one right here as Miami is retaking the lead, 47-45, with 13:42 to go second half.
The closeout was not good. He left his feet, but they got the steal, and I love how he dribbled his head up, and he knows that Height can finish as well as anybody in the country.
Now, I will give you that one, and knowing and recognizing Jerron Brown, a taller defender on him, looking back.
What do you mean you give me that one? What do you mean you give me that one?
I'll buy that one.
What level of basketball did you play? Where did you stop at? CYO ball in 6th grade up in Ridgewood?
Know your role. You're the analyst, okay? My role
Don't try
here
to do my job. You're killing me. We'll put you in that costume. You'll be the mascot.
You don't even know what that is. I bet you don't even know what that is.
Oh, man, don't go there. Let's go to a break so I can look at the media guys.
Yeah, see, and if you keep this up, I'm going to force to remind people that you helped open this building.
Oh, no, don't do that.
I just did.
We were gracious guests, unfortunately.
Now, I'll explain later, maybe. Out of the timeout, and that's exactly what Jamie Dixon needed. Carl Krauser showing, you know, as a redshirt sophomore, wow, he's got to feel great knowing that his lead guard and the program is in the hands of a man who's going to be there for another 3 years.
Well, he's including this one, the boys to come out of that timeout, execute a great play, and they did just that.
And answering right back, Darius Rice, boy, the shooting on both ends has been very, very impressive. I know at times maybe the defense a little spotty, but you can't deny the way these guys are shooting it.
Well, one thing right now, Miami has gone to the big lineup, so as a result, Pittsburgh has to guard Darius Rice with Brown. There's a tremendous height advantage, and right there, Rice caught it and shot right over the top of Jerron Brown.
Maybe a little hasty on the part of Carl Krauser. So that's the second travel that he is contested. He thought maybe he got in the jump stop, but Tim Higgins had no part of that. And Perry Clark certainly has got to feel very good about the response that he's gotten from his team. We talked about that right at the beginning of the broadcast. The demoralizing loss at North Carolina. To come down here and play an undefeated team and be competitive like this, he's got to feel good.
Well, they want to finish the job. They don't want to just have a moral victory. Great hustle there by Jawe. But again, Rice comes off that screen shooting jumpers. They're both players, we talked top of the show, Darius Wright, height, having good games right here. Let's see how they finish out. I'd like to see Miami take advantage of Rice in the post being guarded again by the smaller Brown.
And if you look at Miami, Gary Hamilton doing a good job on Chevy Troutman getting out and guarding. Looks like Miami is doing, are they doing a better job in their man?
I think so, and I think that's really Jawe is leading the charge there with his tremendous defense inside.
And Surratt making a good decision right there.
Not bad there, recognizing a good decision. I'm impressed, Gary. You know a little bit about the game.
Your sarcasm is not appreciated.
It was a great decision. He could have forced the drive and forced up a bad shot or a turnover. Wow. Now, the thing I like there, not only the shot, but they had 3 guys attack the offensive boards, and that's got to be there because you're not going to make every shot. You have to have people going to the glass.
And how about Gary Hamilton in his few opportunities converting? He's now 3 of 3 from the field. And Miami 8 of 12 in this second half. They have been burning it up. They did in the first half, and they continue the hot shooting in the second half, now with a 4-point lead.
They got caught again, dragging that pivot foot. That's something that they're going to have to work on as they go forward in league play.
51-47. Gary Hamilton feeling it at the Convocation Center.
With all-wheel drive performance, the BMW 3 Series grips like it's summer, even when it's not. The all-wheel drive BMW 3 Series, starting at $30,545.
Advanced Auto Parts. No matter when or where.
There's nothing worse than being ready to go and your car won't. So we're ready in advance. Ready with the right equipment, the right people, and the right parts. All at ready to go, low prices. And if it's your battery, we'll install it for free. So bring it on. We're ready in advance.
For the best parts, people and price. We're ready in advance. Yeah, bring it on.
For the best in college hoops, the March to March is here on Yes. Tonight, the Princeton Tigers travel to the Heartland to take on Michael Bauer and the Golden Gophers of Minnesota. Princeton of Minnesota, tonight starting at 8, right here on Yes.
Anybody who comes to Continental Arena will see the excitement and the energy.
Nets 6-game holiday plans are on sale now. Get the same seat for each game and playoff priority. Prices start at just $210 per seat for all 6 games. Call 1-800-7-NJ-NETS.
Hey, Yes Network fans, now sport a new look with Yes gear from the home of champions. Shop online now at YesNetwork.com and gear up with T-shirts, sweatshirts, special collector's items, and more. So log on now to YesNetwork.com and get your Yes gear here.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. Here's tonight's starting lineup on the Yes Network, the home of champions.
51-47 from the Convocation Center with 11-12 to go in the second half. And we take another look at some Big East scores today. Notre Dame beating Villanova on the road. And also, you look at Syracuse. They continue to lead Boston College. And some top 25 scores from earlier today. Wake remains unbeaten, and Michigan State continues to struggle. Florida, wow, all over Tennessee, and Louisville the same at South Florida. Some games from the top 25. You know, Pittsburgh, Matt, started this second half making their first 3 field goals. Since then, not only have they gone 2 of 6, they're turning the ball over. 5 turnovers in the last 5 minutes.
They're really dragging their pivot feet, and I'm sure Jamie will look at that on tape and see if, in fact, they are. They've got to work on it. It's a little thing, but as I always told my teams, little things are big things. That was a tremendous block right there. Tremendous block right there.
Now, right then, Yahweh again, and he's having an outstanding day, but Tapp, like you said, closing on him for the great block. Is this a game that you would say it favors one team pace-wise?
I think if it favors anybody, it might favor Miami because they like it up and down a little bit more. But Pittsburgh certainly has enough bodies, so I don't think it really makes that big of a difference.
And Darius Rice with his second foul on the day, going over the top.
Miami right now, you see Perry Clark call for the 3 defense. That's the 3-drop defense. I call that middle position where Darius Rice is the monster. When the ball goes to the corner, he has to guard the low post.
Surprised by this move defensively and using Rice at the top of this zone?
Not at all. They worked on it in practice, and then when they go with a bigger lineup, it makes sense because now Rice doesn't have to chase a smaller guy like Brown out on the perimeter.
If you're Pittsburgh, what's the important thing of working against the zone with Rice at the top?
You've got to get the ball to the short corner, kind of like they did there. They got it to the post, then they threw it out to the top, and then they drive Rice. That was a good move by Pittsburgh. Got a decent look.
Yeah, good look by Page. He just couldn't convert. And again, Rice on the pull-up gets a soft roll, and he has shown repeatedly this afternoon the ability to put it on the jack and pull up from 15 feet.
Well, it's a nice shot there. I thought he was going to miss it because a little push to the hip. He got him off balance, but fortunately, he's got a tremendous touch. Watch Rice right now. If the ball goes to the corner, he normally drops to the middle, sometimes to the post area. I love the bounce pass. That's something that they were talking about, Coach Clark and his staff, when that ball goes to the top of the key, they have to guard the low post. That bounce pass right there, a bounce pass is a feeding pass. But I'd like to see Hamilton has to slide over and get in front of Taft. See Hamilton grab his head. He knew that was his mistake.
And that pass by Jerron Brown, you know, you talked about his age. This is a young man who's already graduated from the University of Pittsburgh. And a lot of people looked last year at Brandon Knight and went, well, he's the glue of this team. A lot of people in this program know that Jerron Brown was as much of the glue and remains the glue of this program as Brandon Knight was.
I was talking to assistant coach Barry Rorson, who I've known since I was in 9th grade back at Jack Kern's basketball
camp. A long time ago.
Easy. And Barry says not only is he such an important player to this team, but he's been such an important player to this program as they've ascended to one of the top programs in the country over the last 4 or 5 years under Ben Howland and now Jamie Dixon.
And Yahweh again, this has been his most assertive afternoon, not only in scoring but attempts as well. And maybe Antonio Gray, is that a bad decision on his part?
Well, he just let him too much. It's not a bad decision, it's bad execution. You got to deliver the ball, and so you can catch it and make the layup. If you don't feel you can do that, you don't want to put the ball at risk, especially when Pittsburgh is shooting over 55% from the field. They're going to get a good shot if they're just patient.
And again, showing that high screen at the top of the key, which has been an effective offensive set for them.
There's a different type of screen right there. It's not the old school ball screen. It's more in line with the ball and the screener and the basket is in line. It's a very unorthodox screen to guard.
And Eric Wilkins just couldn't get the soft roll.
University of Pittsburgh.
And Carl Krausen is back in. We're happy to have you with us. For those folks just joining us, Pittsburgh comes in here with the longest winning streak in America at 15 straight. And alongside Matt Doherty, I am Gary Williams. And on this, what is a good afternoon weather-wise, and here we know everybody else in the Northeast is socked in by bad weather. Settle in, put another log on the fire. With 8:21 to go, that winning streak is on the line. And Chris Taft again, Matt, showing the ability to finish, showing great touch around the basket.
Well, he's made 2 left shoulder, as I call them, left shoulder jump hooks, where he turns to his left shoulder. Now, you've got to shade that. The thing that I'm impressed with Taft, he's making those off the block about 8 feet from the basket.
Now, Perry Clark is getting ready to get an under 8 timeout. And at 8:03, with a 2-point lead, he calls a timeout.
Well, let's look at a replay right here. Post feed, left shoulder jump hook. You've got to sit on that left shoulder, make him go to the right shoulder for a turnaround jump shot. Nice post feed. See the bounce pass? The only way you can stop the bounce pass is to kick it. And when you kick it, when the opponent kicks it, you get the ball back. There we see Orlando Antigua, whose brother's the head coach at St. Raymond's in the Bronx, where he played, okay? Orlando is a great player here at Pittsburgh, played for the Harlem Globetrotters, and is now back on the sidelines. I asked him if he had a callus on his index finger from spinning the basketball so much with the Globetrotters. Got a good chuckle out of that.
Why would, I'm going to ask you to read Perry Clark's mind, why would he call a timeout when he knows he's going to get it at the next stoppage with possession?
Well, sometimes you just want to stop the bleeding as soon as possible.
And right then, Armando Surratt off the dribble, drawing the foul.
And that came off a ball screen again. Ball screen is like the oldest play in basketball, but it's still a very difficult play to guard.
And that foul, I believe, was on Carl Krauser, his second.
Pittsburgh is showing out on the ball screen and recovering to their man. Lately, Miami has just been pushing up on the ball screen and letting the guy guarding the ball go underneath the screen.
And Surratt, one of the poor free throw shooters, but he knocks down both, 53 on the season. But those two increase Miami's lead to 4, 7:52 to go.
Cooper Tire is proud to be the official tire of the Big East Conference. Cooper Tires, don't give up a thing.
The more you discover about the Hyundai Elantra, the more it makes sense. It's loaded with standard features like AC and power everything. Plus, only Hyundai has America's best warranty, 10 years, 100,000 miles. It's $1,600 less than a Honda Civic LX when comparably equipped. In fact, the 2004 Hyundai Elantra starts at just $13,889. When your car makes this much sense, you win. Get a 2004 Elantra with up to $2,750 cash back or a 0% APR.
Even a little rain can feel like a deep sea dive when you're looking for your rental car. So Hertz #1 Gold has your car waiting under a weather-protected area. At Hertz, we know exactly how you feel, so we have exactly what you need. Sometimes your sense of direction no longer makes sense. That's why Hertz offers Never Lost, the in-car navigation system.
Right turn.
At Hertz, we know exactly how you feel, so we have exactly what you need.
The nation's best high school basketball showcase returns to Trenton, New Jersey when the IO's primetime shootout tips off at Sovereign Bank Arena from February 6th through 8th. 8 teams from USA Today's Super 25 rankings highlight the event, including a matchup between New York's Sebastian Telfair and Atlanta's Dwight Howard, 2 of the country's most highly touted recruits. For a complete schedule, visit primetimeshootout.net. Tickets can be purchased by calling Ticketmaster at 609-520-8383 or visiting Ticketmaster.com. Tickets are also available at the Sovereign Bank Arena box office. Don't miss your chance to watch tomorrow's superstars today.
55-51, we welcome you back, 7:52 to go. Pittsburgh, the number 15 team in the nation, and also with the nation's longest winning streak. On the road, and that's what happens, Matt, when you go on the road in conference. And this is a team that, you know, people believe that they're a good basketball team, but when you start looking at records, you can say, well, who have they played? They played some pretty good competition, but they have not ventured far from home.
They've only played one true road game, but that was at Duquesne, which is in their backyard in Pittsburgh. They played Alabama neutral site. So this is a true test for them on the road. The thing that I'm impressed with is Miami certainly answering the call here.
Yeah, they really have, and certainly their shooting percentage well above what Pittsburgh's used to yielding, not only this year, but traditionally over the last couple of years. Right then, great on-the-ball defense by Armando Surratt. Darius Rice had that rebound. And quickly, let's look at shooting the rock. The three-point shooting brought to you by Rolling Rock Beer. Grab a rock. Pittsburgh 3 of 9. You know what's interesting about this? One of the areas of Miami's basketball team, they take a lot of three-pointers. Today, only 7 attempts.
But you know what? They're not making a lot of threes. All right. But I like the fact they're not taking a lot of threes. So, you know, some teams just rely on it and shoot it and shoot it and shoot it. But they're not forcing three-point shots. They're trying to get a little closer to the basket today.
That shot was adjusted, and Brown got the offensive rebound. But Jim Haney is going to call an offensive foul. On that last tie-up, we had an alternate possession that remained Pittsburgh just to get you caught up.
Right here, Pittsburgh's very aggressive to the ball, and they can be because they have a lot of depth up front. They've got guys you can come off the bench, Morris, McCarroll, Gray, who haven't played yet. They can come off the bench with some big guys, so they can afford some, risky foul trouble by being aggressive to the offense.
And that foul was on Mark McCarroll as Diaz again showing the willingness to go right to the front of the rim. And there are not a lot of freshmen you can say, okay, now you're in college basketball. I know you could get to the rim in high school. Keep doing it. He is doing just that.
Well, he's doing it, but again, it goes back to the ball screen. How did he get free up to make that drive? And it was the ball screen. McCarroll better be careful. He takes a little swipe there, and Hamilton could escalate into something, so they got to keep their heads.
And he got a little chippy on that last possession. He actually shoved. We're going to take a look at this again. This loose ball on the ground, and Gary Hamilton had his hands on the ball. That is a big call right there because that's Guillermo Diaz's 4th foul, and he has played a very solid ball game. He's probably going to go out. You got to imagine, Matt, what do you think about the under 4 timeout?
Probably about under 4, the 3 to 4 range, depending on time and score.
And Surratt had Rice on the left, but chose to take it all the way to the rim and drew the foul, and he'll go back to the line. And right now, Miami's got a 6-point cushion.
Well, Surratt's dribbling with his head up, and I think he sees Page there. He was afraid to try to deliver it to Rice and risk getting the steal, so I think he made a very good decision, which he's doing a good job of today. He's made some really good decisions.
I mentioned his problems at the line right there with every possession being huge. He was 2 for 2. As you get a look at Guillermo Diaz, the freshman, with unbelievable athleticism. And Surratt pulls the string on the second one and is unable to convert both.
Miami's still with their big lineup, but now man-to-man, interesting matchup with Brown and Rice.
And right then you saw, that's an example, Matt, of Jerron Brown. I mean, he just seems to, when they have critical possessions, make good decisions.
Well, he's been considered the glue guy to the team, and he certainly is. Right there, I feel like he felt he had an advantage to taking Darius Rice to the basket. He did. He drew the help, and he made a nice pass to McCarroll. Now McCarroll goes up for the shot, and defensively, you don't want to just foul. You want to put your hands back and make him make a tough shot over you. By fouling, you're giving Pittsburgh an opportunity to score points with the clock stopped.
And Mark McCarroll, a pretty good foul shooter, 70% from the line for the season. This is a young man who's been outstanding in the last 6 games for Pittsburgh. Shooting at a percentage of 70% from the field.
One of the 4 New Yorkers they have on their team, Christ the King, Bob Oliva, great legendary coach in New York. That was a good look by Hamilton. Rice possibly Uncle Jerry would have caught it for sure. But Uncle Jerry Rice played with the 49ers and the Raiders, is Darius Rice's uncle. But I like the look there by Hamilton. Good movement. And one thing I noticed there, Pittsburgh is now, or at least that possession, switched to ball screens, which is a new look for Miami.
And right then, Jerome Brown putting it on the deck, getting by Rice, and he's able to save it. What a smart play. As he's elevated in the air going out of bounds, is able to get that 30-second. If there's not official, credit Tim Higgins for being right there to hear Jerome Brown say timeout.
Well, that's a good play late in the game. Again, he feels he can drive Darius Rice, and he's doing that. Shot goes up. They've got the box out and rebound. Great hustle. Notice how he stepped with his left foot to stay in bounds. It's a good play. I see too many kids calling timeouts in this situation. Me as a coach, I would tell our team, I don't want you to call timeout unless it's late in the game where we have to have possession of the ball. Otherwise, I'd rather you save it by throwing it towards our basket.
You would value the timeout more than the possible loss of possession.
I'm from the Dean Smith school. Where you want to save your timeouts for late game situations because you want to be able to call timeouts if you're behind late game. But right now, under 6 minutes, you need to maintain possession of the basketball. So I think it was a good call there by Brown.
Well, that's why everybody hated watching North Carolina games. When you played there, the last 5 minutes lasted an hour.
Everyone hated watching Carolina games. Everyone hated watching Carolina games. That's what you just said. Why are you wearing a Carolina blue shirt today if you hated watching Carolina?
Listen to you bowing up. Look at you bowing up.
Your boy, you try to get your boy, Tim Mullen, a scholarship by writing a letter to Dean Smith back in your high school days, right?
The reference to Tim Mullen, the former University of Virginia, the very obscure reference by Matt Doherty to Tim Mullen. As we come back with a 4-point lead, Miami, as we get down to 5.5 left in this game. And really, you could say this is the pace that Pittsburgh wants to be at, but Miami will say, okay, that's fine. We'll take a 4-point lead against the number 15 team in America with the ball and 5 to go.
Well, definitely. Now, when you're getting down underneath the 6 minutes, 5 minutes, you want to make sure you get good shots and you have a lead and you're a little more patient. That was not a good shot. However, a running one-hander over a hand. I've never seen Perry Clark smile. Even with a lead. You see, that clock is going so slow for him right now. It's unbelievable.
Well, you can bet on a smile, I would imagine, whether it be out here on the floor in the tunnel, for certain if they're able to hang on and win this game. It'd be a heck of a way to start their final season with the Big East.
Got to stay on your feet. Got to stay on your feet.
Oh, and Chevy Troutman is, and with the alternate possession, Miami's going to get it. Chevy Troutman had that ball wedged.
Well, McCarroll had the layup. All right, that would have been, it's better been a bounce pass, but McCarroll had a layup. He gives up the basketball. The ball looks like it's going in, and it comes out, and a wedge back in by Hamilton, and they get it by the possession out. But you got to stay on your feet. Miami's got to stay on their feet on the closeout. They were very lucky not to give up 2 points there.
Well, for Chevy Troutman to miss that point-blank one, and you mentioned McCarroll giving up the one layup, and they're going to whistle Julius Page for a 2-shot foul right there on Robert Height, who is left-handed, going to his strong side. And right now, man, if you look at the team fouls, we're going to see the replay first.
One thing I talked about, they're switching the ball screen right now. All right, because they got beat on the screen so many times, they're switching it. Miami's got to recognize that as Surratt comes off the screen. Now he's being guarded by Troutman. So maybe you go 1-4. I don't know if they have that in their offensive package. You go 1-4 and let Surratt take Troutman off the dribble.
Well, this is one man who Miami certainly wants at the line. This year shooting 87%. And he is by far, and Yahweh is shooting a little bit higher percentage, but in terms of attempts, and both teams have shot the ball well from the line today, and all of these coming down the stretch, his height converts on the first are huge.
Well, Height has a beautiful stroke. I love the way he follows through. He has a great follow through. He extends. He gets up on his toes. He holds his follow through. You see the rotation and the arc on his basketball. He's got a beautiful stroke. Somebody taught him the right way to shoot at a young age.
And another very productive day, but we put the kibosh on him. We're talking about his stroke, and he front rimmed the second. But Miami, 58-53 with 4 and change left here from the Convocation Center.
Oh, got bailed out right there. I thought that was a bad shot by Krauser. Fortunately, got bailed out on the call. Fortunately for him to get bailed out on that call. I thought that was a bad shot. Let's see here on the replay. I don't know about that. I think he initiated the contact. I thought Yahweh went straight up. I didn't agree with that call right there. But that happens. Human error comes into play.
And Krauser right there converting that first free throw. Yahweh, that is his fourth. So now he and Guillermo Diaz both with 4 fouls.
Foul shooting again comes into play. 2 big foul shots for Pittsburgh.
And Yahweh is going to go to the bench, and Armando Surratt is going to get reinserted. Good substitution there by Perry Clark on the offensive end to get your lead guard back in the game.
Well, you get your lead guard back in the game, but you have ball handlers now. You've got the team that might be better defensively matching up against Pittsburgh. I think those are the reasons you make that move.
And right then again, Darius Rice, who has been very assertive all afternoon, he has not been reliant at all on shooting the three-pointer.
Well, one thing they needed to work on is getting to the basket to get to the foul line more. Troutman, one of my concerns for Pittsburgh was, could Troutman chase Darius Rice out on the perimeter? Darius Rice is really like a 2-3 man, a guard or a small forward, even though he's 6'10". Troutman is a true power forward and doesn't face a player like Darius Rice throughout the season. So it's a very unusual matchup for Troutman to have to chase a guy like Darius Rice on the perimeter.
And Rice was able to convert that first free throw. He, too, one of the other good free throw shooters at 78% coming into today. And he makes the second. Miami 60-55 as Jamie Dixon ponders possibly his first loss of the season.
Love, 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 love.
Pity the human male.
Sex, 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 sex.
Love.
Sex.
Love, love, love. Love, 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 love.
Sex.
But every once in a magical while,
Rolling Rock, loved one.
there's something they can both understand. And the chain of life marches gloriously on.
Rolling Rock beer. Grab a rock.
You see that? Now, just what compels a man to drive a car like that? I mean, how about a little style? Would some power be too much to ask? Not in my world. The 2004 Grand Prix GT with the largest V6 in its class. The new power of Pontiac. That's fuel for the soul.
It's a horrible feeling to know that somebody out there is trying to hurt your kids.
We worry when the kids go out and go to school.
I mean, it is so easy for them to just get into drugs and gangs and everything.
And that's why I say it's very important to keep your kids doing different activities.
We decided to start a dance group, Ballet Folklorico San Jose, to keep all these kids occupied in something so they stay away from drugs.
We are not perfect parents. We just really worry about our kids.
When Charles Bennett graduated from high school, he dreamed of returning to his old neighborhood as a teacher. But without the money for college, only half his dream came true. He's back in the old neighborhood. Please support the United Negro College Fund. Because a mind is a terrible thing to waste.
This Big East game has been brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. And by Advance Auto Parts, we're ready in advance. Advance Auto Parts. We welcome you back to South Florida. I hate to do that to everybody in the Northeast corridor because I know you're socked in. But what can you do when they tell you to go to Miami? What do? You say no?
You go to Miami.
That's exactly right. That's a pretty good situation, a little late afternoon fishing. But I think I'll take taking you out on the golf course and whooping you good. You look at Pittsburgh, though, Matt, as we come back. They have not scored a field goal, and they have obviously got to stop that and get good offensive possessions. Everyone huge coming down the stretch here.
Well, I think right there, Troutman got away with a little walk, and Miami showed good hands with the deflection. Now shot clock's at 21. So Pittsburgh is going to have to go into a play right away, and I wouldn't be surprised if I see a ball screen come out of it.
And if you look at Miami, Krauser, Brown, Taft, Troutman, and Page on the floor offensively for Jamie Dixon. Oh, what a move. What a huge possession and a huge conversion by Carl Krauser to cut the lead to 3 with 3.5 to go.
One thing I've noticed with Krauser throughout this game, he seems to like to go to his left. He does it very well.
In Miami, Perry Clark is going to take a 30-second timeout. And while we've got a moment, let's recognize our Cooper Tire Defensive Player of the Game, Matt, and it's Roderick Jaway.
Well, I just thought he did a terrific job. He's been active on the offensive end, but I love his defense, the rebounds, but the block shots, the steals. He drew a charge. He seemed to be in the right place at the right time.
You know, the term presence is a broad term, but he has been a presence, and I know that you thought that that was a real important thing against the great size of Pittsburgh.
Well, we talked about height and Rice having to have good games for them to have a chance to win, but it'd be great if they could come up with a third player on a consistent basis, especially an interior player to add to those two. Here's the ball screen. I love Krauser's patience off the ball screen. He was patient. He hit behind it, and again, he loves to go to his left. Here's that ball screen and the 4-5 exchange. Troutman closed out under control to Rice.
And a really good matchup with Height and Page, the two lefties who can both elevate. And the shot clock down to 3, and a great block by Chris Taft.
Big
Gary
play.
Hamilton.
Big play by Chris Taft. To come over there and block that shot was incredible. He's number 7 in the league in shots blocked, and a great presence inside. Troutman gets beat off the dribble. They were switching ball screens. Surratt has an advantage on the perimeter with Troutman guarding him, but it's nice when you have a big man like Chris Taft underneath to clean up the mess.
And Taft has 2 blocks on the afternoon, giving him 36 on the season, which leads this team by far as Krauser converts from the line. And Krauser, again, we talk about close games for every team as you head into conference play, and the Achilles heel so far in the non-conference for Pittsburgh has been free throw shooting, but so far today a pretty good, they've done an outstanding job, 13 of 14, and Krauser with an opportunity to make his 4th straight point for Pittsburgh.
Well, it's really a key to win close games. You have to be able to make foul shots, especially your guards, because your guards are going to have the ball in their hands most often.
And maybe the most important possession of the afternoon for Miami, clinging to that 1-point lead with 2:43 to go.
They've got to execute down the stretch. Diaz looks a little tentative out there.
And they keep showing on that ball screen.
Got to go to the boards.
And Jaway can't get it to go. And you mentioned going to the boards, and credit Gary Hamilton, who kept that ball alive for Diaz, who goes to the paint. Oh!
The offensive board was key because it gave him the second chance. With this big lineup with Darius Rice, Jaway, and Hamilton, they get to the offensive boards a little bit more. And Diaz was the beneficiary of the offensive rebound.
The biggest bucket of the afternoon by the freshman, Guillermo Diaz. Krauser not afraid to take the shot, and that ball is going out of bounds to Miami. Jim Haney with that call.
Krauser showed some fatigue. He's been out of practice for 2 weeks, and he showed some fatigue on that play. Great baseline drive right there. I thought looked like Taft came over a little late. I thought he was going to get a hand on it, block another shot, but Diaz is so quick getting the ball to the basket. Unbelievable for a freshman.
Well, and the big situation here with the conversion would make this a 2-possession game with 1:30 to go.
Up 3, 18 seconds to go on the shot clock. 1 timeout left for Miami. They've got to come out of this with a set play. And again, I wouldn't be surprised with a quick ball screen.
And remember, the nation's longest winning streak hangs in the balance right now. Pittsburgh at 15-0 on the year. Miami's got the ball up 3, 128 and counting.
Not a great shot. Needed a better shot than that with 18 seconds to go on the shot clock. And that, again, is the inexperience of the Diaz.
And Jamie Dixon's going to spend a timeout. A 30-second timeout. 62-59, 117 to go, and I think we're going to keep it right here. And if you're Pittsburgh, what do you look to do here? They run a lot of offensive sets.
Well, they've got a lot of sets in their package. They've got to get a good shot here because 117 to go. If you don't, then you're probably going to have to foul on a defensive end or risk Miami scoring.
And right now, both teams are over the limit fouls, so both teams will go to the line for a 1-and-1, and both teams with only 1 timeout left. You talked about saving timeouts, and certainly you don't question they've used them effectively because every possession seemed to be so critical, but that could be a factor coming down here in the last 117 to go.
No question. The timeout situation with both teams having one will be critical, but Pittsburgh needs to get a really good shot right here because if they don't, then they're going to have to play tremendous defense, or they may choose to foul early and put Miami at the foul line.
And they've got the freshman, Guillermo Diaz, with 4 fouls on Carl Krauser.
Looks like they're going to drive Darius Rice.
13 on the shot clock. Krauser from the top of the key. He's short. And a big rebound by Roderick Jaway.
I took a peek at Jamie Dixon. He said no foul. Oh, my.
And right then, a phenomenal block by Chris Taft. Darius Rice thought he had a lane to the basket. And so just like that, Pittsburgh with another opportunity to tie this game. Page from the corner. He's got it.
That ball screen got him again. They had a help off a Page. You have to understand time and score when you're up 3 points. You don't want to give an open 3-pointer to Julius Page.
And if you're Perry Clark, he's going to use his final timeout here. This is the 8th tie of the afternoon at 62 apiece. The last was at 47 all. So Miami now out of timeouts. It's a full timeout. I think what a huge shot by Julius Page.
Huge shot. The ball screen. There's some confusion on the ball screen that helped off a Page. Again, trying to recognize time and score. And that's where an experienced team versus an inexperienced team. If they had an experienced team in this situation, Perry Clark might not call a timeout because you don't need to call a timeout right now. You've got the ball and it's a tie score. They get hung up on that ball screen a little bit, and then Height goes in to help on Krauser and leaves Page wide open for that jump shot. In that situation, Height should have faked it Krauser and recovered early to Page, not letting him have the 3, because the 2 doesn't hurt you in that situation.
And Julius Page, who now has 15 on the afternoon, his second 3, and that one was the biggest one of the afternoon. Pittsburgh still with 1 timeout left with 25.5 seconds left, but Miami can hold for the last shot.
And we go to a play before that. Darius Rice's decision to take it to the basket. He should take it to the basket if he had an uncontested layup. But he goes up nonchalantly, gets his shot blocked, and that gave Pittsburgh the opportunity to tie the game. Those are critical situations you work on in practice. Again, I go back to Coach Smith. We would always practice late game situations where you're up 5 with 3 minutes to go, and get your team in the right mindset on not only how to handle being down in those situations, but being up, because it's a totally different mentality.
And this game is not only tied on the scoreboard, both teams very even all day statistically, both shooting right at 50%.
This is very similar to the end of the first half. On offense, you want a shot. You want to go with 8 seconds to go to make sure you get the last shot of the game right here, because the worst thing that'll happen is overtime.
And right now at 10-9, Diaz with the ball. He drives the lane. A fadeaway. He's got it! A phenomenal shot.
Now, very similar to the Providence, Texas game. 3.9 seconds to go. Plenty of time for Pittsburgh to take it length of the court. Here's the play. Diaz, tremendous go. He just takes it. It is his talent. This is nothing else but talent. A fall-away jumper off the glass over 2 defenders. It's his day. It's his day right there. Look at that body control.
Look at the ability, too, Matt, also for him to get elevation fading the way that he did to stay in the air long enough for that ball to get to the rim or get to the glass. The freshman from San Juan, Puerto Rico. Miami fans, you've got a guy who you're going to enjoy watching over the next 4 years.
Well, now there's no timeouts left, so Jamie Dixon can't throw it to half court and call timeout. They've got to throw it in, probably throw it in, trying to get somebody on the run. Now, Perry Clark has a decision to make. Does he put somebody on the ball, or does he double-team somebody? Ideally, you want Pittsburgh catching the ball, going away from the offensive end, so that will eat up some time. You're saying don't foul, don't foul, don't foul. You definitely don't want to foul to put him at the foul line, but you still want to play good aggressive defense. Ideally, corral him as he puts it on the floor and make him make a pass.
And certainly with the make, you know that the inbounder can run the baseline.
Inbounder can run the baseline, and again, it'll be interesting to see if he puts somebody on the ball or off the ball. Some teams even play a zone, a little 2-2-1, three-quarter court zone to make them, you know, again, a different look, to make them slow up and see a trap.
And it appears as if Perry Clark is going to choose not to contest the inbounder.
I'm surprised they've gone with the big lineup here. I thought they might go with a little bit of a smaller lineup because the dribble penetration is going to be key. It's going to Krauser, I believe, and he's going to try to take it to the basket, and ideally he likes to go left.
It is Krauser. He's at the timeline. He puts it up, and he's got it!
Unbelievable.
Counts it.
Unbelievable. So much like the Texas at Providence game. The big difference in this game is look at the scoreboard when we get a chance. They have the new technology where there's the red light surrounding the backboard. There's not just that one little light on the basket support. So clearly, this basket is good. The referee's going to view it. They're going to view it just to make sure. Here's the dribble penetration. They're afraid to foul. You got to make them give up the ball. He lets go of the basket. Look at the light around the backboard, around the frame of the basket. No question that basket is good.
No question that basket was good.
Now, my question again is, look at, you have Xiaowei trying to guard Krauser. If you went with the smaller lineup, then maybe he's not going against Krauser. Maybe he's going against the guard.
His ability to split those defenders, and there was a little tap on his head, and probably a good thing on the part of Tim Higgins not to blow a whistle there. And I would imagine Darius Rice concerned about the idea of giving him the opportunity to maybe even end this game on the line. But what a play. And, Matt, go back to the play that he made coming out of that timeout at the under 4. He has hit foul shots. He made the driving left-handed layup. And right then with 3.9 to go, three-quarter court to tie this game and send it into overtime. This is a young man who's missed the last 4 games. Enormous contribution.
Oh, well, he just has settled his team down. I think he and Jerron Brown in the second half in key situations. But obviously, Jamie Dixon has a great deal of confidence in him because he's getting the ball in key situations. A big situation right now is from Miami. What kind of energy do they have? Are they going to be upbeat and energetic, or are they going to be deflated? Right now, they're coming out of the timeout, and I know they've got their heads down a little bit. They better pick it up. Otherwise, the first minute or two in this overtime period, they're going to be looking at the wrong end of the score.
And one other note as we head into this overtime period, 2 of your biggest contributors this afternoon, Guillermo Diaz and Roderick Xiaowei, both with 4 fouls.
Well, that'll be critical in this overtime period, but they can't be too concerned about that.
And you mentioned body language. Darius Rice was kind of shaking his head as he was headed to the jump circle. It'll be interesting to see how Miami does react. You know, you go to that bench thinking the game is over. All you got to do is defend for 3.9, and you got to win. They got to
put that behind them.
That's right.
There's some confusion there guarding that ball screen. Again, I go back to the closeouts. Leaving your feet on a closeout, you got to stay down.
And there's the glue man himself, Jerron Brown, with the offensive rebound, and he'll go to the line for 2 for a chance to get Pittsburgh this lead with the first possession coming into overtime.
Well, we talked about energy, body language coming out of timeout. Miami didn't have it there. All right, they were a little confused on who they were picking up on the ball screen, and then they've got to block out and get rebounds.
And for Gary Hamilton, that is his 4. So now 3 Hurricanes with 4 fouls. And if you look at Pittsburgh, no real foul trouble whatsoever. There's nobody in their starting lineup with more than 2.
Both teams now, because of the overtime, both get an additional timeout. So both teams have 1 timeout. Possession arrow favoring Miami.
66-64, 4:35 to go. If you're just joining us, we've got overtime here from the Convocation Center. It's the longest winning streak in America, owned by the University of Pittsburgh, on the line, and Carl Krauser hitting the layup to send this game into overtime. Almost a turnover. Yahweh thought Diaz was going to the middle of the floor. He was able to save with 10 on the shot clock.
Pittsburgh switching the ball screen again.
And really a bad possession to start this half. Diaz got the ball to Hamilton late. It was less than 5 on the shot clock, and he barely grazed the backboard, so Pittsburgh with an opportunity to give a little cushion. And again with the left-hand Krauser, he just could not finish. And Diaz is in transition.
You notice on that last ball screen play, height did not come off of Page when Krauser came off the ball screen.
You know, Yahweh did a pretty good job contesting that shot. And here's Diaz getting out in transition. He can really push it and show the ability with the left hand.
See, now there, I'd show that to my team. Taft did not run as hard as he could. Yes, Diaz is faster than Taft, but if Taft was running harder, Diaz couldn't have split the 2 Pittsburgh Panther defenders and got to the foul.
Diaz has had a good afternoon with 12 on the day. Misses that first free throw. And so Gary Hamilton's going to take a seat. Armando Surratt back in the game. I mentioned Hamilton with those 4 fouls. You get the feeling, Matt, that this crowd kind of feels a little deflated as well, and they've got to kind of suck it up and give the Hurricanes some energy as well.
Well, I agree. Definitely, energy is the big key right now, and that's the maturity of Miami. Are they mature enough to get through this overtime period? We'll see.
You look at a guy like Carl Krauser, and he's a sophomore, but as a redshirt sophomore, you talked about, as we said earlier, being in good hands, and his willingness to want the ball. An offensive rebound really kept alive by Chevy Troutman, and Taft could not convert. Fortunate right there for Miami.
Well, Miami's lucky to be down only 2 points with 3 minutes to go. They make a shot here, all this momentum can change. This is a big possession for them.
And you would think with big possessions that Darius Rice has got to find a way to, he's got to want the ball.
Well, I think he does. He's trying to post up right now. They're running height off a baseline screen.
And a big, big bucket for Robert Height to tie this game at 66, popping out and converting from 16 feet.
That's right. Height running off the baseline screen set by Darius Rice and Yahweh, and he did a good job of curling it up to the foul line. In there by a point guard picking up your dribble,
and Brown almost caught in no man's land, was able to get it back out. The Krauser's going to reset with 10 on the shot clock.
Here comes the ball screen play. Little confusion on what they're going to do.
And the little running 8-footer, he can't convert. Now Miami has numbers. and Darius Rice finishes.
It's amazing how the momentum changed because of Height's jumper from the foul line. However, Miami better get organized on how they're going to guard the ball screen. They've guarded it two different ways right now, and there's some confusion on what they're doing on that ball screen at the top of the key.
Jerron Brown tried to drive on Diaz, who's got 4, and he's looking for Krauser, who's being closely guarded by Surratt.
Here comes the ball screen again.
And another huge bucket by Carl Krauser. Repeatedly, Matt, going to his left and right then instead of driving all the way to the hole, pulling up and converting from 14 feet.
Well, when you change, how are you going to guard the ball screen? Are you going to show out? Does Jaway show out on Krauser, or does he play right behind and push up on the ball screen? They've changed, but that screen is being set so deep right now that it puts the defender on the ball in a real predicament. He doesn't know whether to go below or over the top, so they've got to make sure at the next dead ball that they organize how they're going to guard that play.
And again, Miami's got to go, and a wild shot by Armando Surratt. And Roderick Jaway touched that ball last, going out of bounds. So not the possession that Miami was looking for, a wild shot.
Well, there's Troutman switches out. Pittsburgh's committed to the switch. Surratt takes him to the basket, but a good box out by Krauser. He's stuck with the big guy, but he did a good job of putting the body on him and make it difficult for Jaway to get the offensive rebound.
Jerron Brown with the left hand, a huge bucket. Gives Pittsburgh that 2-point lead, that 15-game winning streak on the line right here. And Miami is going to call the one timeout afforded to them in this overtime period with 29:5 to go. 70-68. We will come back with what might be the final third. Oh, we're going to stay here. Okay, we'll stay here at 70-68. I was going to build this up to a big crescendo as we went to break. Instead, we get to stay here and listen to some of your quality analysis.
Well, I tell you what, I was watching Perry Clark off camera. He was getting ready to call a play, but then he went with the timeout. And again, that's dealing with an inexperienced team. You don't want to let Pittsburgh set up their defense here, but you want to make sure that your team knows what play they're going to run right now out of this timeout. And as importantly, how they're going to guard that ball screen. So they're not only talking about offense here, but they should be talking about how they're going to defend.
You talk about, you know, the streaks and certainly the games this year, and we know about their home streak that'll be put on the line Monday against Notre Dame, who has already won today at Villanova. When you talk about, you know, calling that timeout on the final possession, it is certainly an individual decision. For you, what is the biggest difference maker as far as using it or not? But before we talk about that, this last possession by Pittsburgh getting the conversion.
Well, Brown's just strengthened there on the post. He just pushed aside Diaz, just posted up and got the basket. The blue guy, one of the leaders of this Pittsburgh program, comes up big. Now, I talked about Miami, how are you going to guard things, and I look up at the shot clock. There's only 29 seconds in this game, right? So, ideally, Miami tries to get a good shot as early as possible, but you don't want to rush it. And the reason I talk about defense is they've got to get a shot up in time that if they miss, they can get the rebound and score, or they foul. All right, so they're probably not going to see a whole lot of defensive play right here, because if they miss the shot and they don't get the rebound, they've got to foul right away.
Back to my question about, you know, calling a timeout as we're getting ready to come out of this timeout. And it's an individual decision. You think in his case it's because of the inexperience that he wants to settle them down and make sure, whereas on the other side you go, well, you can get it without their ability to set the defense.
No question. I prefer not to call a timeout. However, maybe you want to sub somebody in, a better offensive player, or you want to settle down a young team to make sure they know exactly when to, you know, go with this play.
And certainly both teams only making a couple of field goals here in the overtime. Another key, Pittsburgh getting it done at the line in the second half, in the overtime, 8 of 9. Something we've talked about is something that has not been good for them so far this year. Rice for 3 in the lead, in and out. And a huge rebound by Mark McCarroll, and they do just that with 15 and a half left. And Mark McCarroll will go to the line with an opportunity to make this a two-possession game. A good look here. It may be early, but it was a good look for Darius Rice.
A great look. Perry Clark came out of the timeout with a great play for his best player. Darius Rice got a wide open three. A really nice screen by Surratt to free up Darius Rice for that open jump shot.
And Roderick Jaway is going to go to the bench with 5 fouls. But an outstanding afternoon for him. He was our defensive player of the game, not to mention giving them far more offense than they're accustomed to.
Now, the question I would ask is, was Perry Clark trying to put the game away and just win it? Not afraid to go into another overtime because you got the 3? Or do you just feel that was a good play for our best player to get an open look, regardless if it was a 3 or a 2? And that's only he can answer that question, but that goes through your mind. You know, he's got guys in foul trouble. Maybe he feels he can't withstand another overtime, so he wanted to try to win the game on Darius Rice's three-point shot.
And McCarroll goes to the line. He's 2 for 2 from the line today, a 70% free throw shooter, and Pittsburgh getting it done from the line all day long. And he makes the first. Talked about his contributions over the last 6-game stretch, including a career high of 26.
Well, he's averaging over 10 points a game, shooting 71% from the field over those last 6 games. But more importantly right now, if he makes this, they've got to go down and get a quick 2. All right, now they have an opportunity to get a 3. They're down 3 with 11 seconds to go.
And they've got a little bit of time. And Diaz, 6. He pulls up and pops. He's got it!
Unbelievable! Unbelievable! Will this game ever end? What a day! This is a lot of fun. Diaz making 2 huge baskets. Great screen. Troutman should have showed out a little quicker. Again, you've got to know that he's coming off to shoot.
Guillermo Diaz, the elevation, the bucket he made in regulation from the left-hand side off glass, and then to pull up in front of your own bench and bury a 3 to tie it.
He looks so calm.
I don't even think there is no perspiration on this young man at all.
He looks at home with the ball in his hands and the clock going down.
Now we have 1.1 less than what we had in regulation. Does Miami do it differently?
Miami is not going to do it different. Miami is going to double team Krauser, okay? But Krauser is going to come off that screen. Jamie Dixon is asking Timmy Higgins, can he start on the other side of the floor? So it's going to be interesting to see who comes off and gets this basketball. A little confusion right now between Troutman and Krauser. But the thing that I'm concerned about, Hamilton is in position to guard right now.
And it goes to Troutman, who gets it to McCarroll at the buzzer, and he's short. We've got a second overtime from the Convocation Center. The 12th tie of the game. Reset that clock. Let's play 5 more. 71-71. Pittsburgh. You know, first it was Pittsburgh having to make the shot to send it into overtime. And then in that first overtime period, Matt, we had Guillermo Diaz making the 3 that is now sent it into the second overtime. We got all day. We're not going anywhere.
Our flight doesn't leave till tomorrow. The thing that I was impressed with was Miami got their poise back, got their energy back after coming out disappointed that the game went into the first overtime, but Height's jumper off the curl move at the foul line got their energy back, and then Rice got the dunk in transition. That got them back in the ball game, and they were in position to go into another overtime.
You know, and with every possession being so critical, it almost only seems like there's 2 or 3 or 4 in the 5-minute period. They'll keep doing what they've been doing. And I would imagine it's in the hands of Carl Krauser and Armando Surratt. But if you look at a guy like Guillermo Diaz playing well beyond his years today with the huge 3 in the bucket at the end of regulation.
He looked very comfortable taking those shots. And again, you talked about his elevation on his jump shot. He makes a hard dribble, comes off that screen. Quick release. Troutman didn't have time to get out to him.
No question about it. Stay with us. I mean, we'll stay here all day. I mean, we got plenty of time before dinner. 71-71. And you know what's interesting is Miami comes off that demoralizing loss at North Carolina, which seems like years ago, I'm sure for them, it's out of their minds. But in the paper this morning, the Miami Herald, Darius Rice said, you know what, we want our last impression in the Big East to be a lasting one. We don't want to go out of this league as a team. They were picked 11th in the preseason. They want to make people who are going to remain in this league remember them before they head to the ACC.
Well, if they win this game here today, this will be a big statement for Miami in terms of the Big East play and also their departure, because it is their last year in the Big East.
And right then, Krauser got that opening tap, and Tap ran out. Good play there by Gary Hamilton, who knocked that ball out, so they'll inbound it on the baseline. And Troutman, who put it on the deck, he converts and will go to the line. So this second overtime, starting like the first, with Pittsburgh getting that first make.
Well, I go back to the closeout. Watch Troutman catch it there. Diaz leaves his feet and lets Troutman get closer. You've got to go out. I know you guys are getting tired of me saying it, but you got to go out to the shooters. You got to go out to the shooters under control, especially Troutman. Would you rather have him take a contested 10-footer on the baseline or get closer with a chance to get not only the 2 points, but the foul?
And Pittsburgh, who has done a phenomenal job today collectively from the line, an opportunity to grab this 3-point lead off the opening tap in the second overtime. And now for Gary Hamilton, that was his fifth. So now that's the second player who's been disqualified, and 2 of their primary post players. Hamilton's really given them good production today. He's made some field goals, and now he'll go to the bench and sit alongside Roderick Jaway.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised, Jamie Dixon now, instead of the ball screen out front, noticing that they're really thin up front, and just putting the ball in the hands of their big men, one-on-one in the post against Darius Rice and freshman Anthony King.
And a huge offensive rebound by Jerron Brown, and he gets the stick back, and that makes it a 2-possession game. You mentioned Anthony King, number 50, the freshman from Durham, North Carolina, who has checked into the lineup for the first time today. Pretty interesting time to come into this game.
That's a tough situation for the young man. I know Anthony very well. I looked at him while I was the head coach at the University of North Carolina. He played with David Noel, who I recruited to North Carolina, who's now a sophomore there. And Anthony certainly has the talent to be a good player at Miami, but this is a very difficult position for him to be in.
And Diaz maybe had that mismatch, and Rice on the fadeaway gets that shooter's roll. You know, this building is only a year old, almost to the day, and you know it because you were here. But very soft rims, and right then Darius Rice getting the shooter's roll.
Darius Rice with a nice post-up. You maybe see some more of that.
It's been a great matchup to watch all afternoon. Armando Surratt has done an admirable job trying to deal with the very physical and strong Carl Krauser.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, okay, they got away from the ball screen and they went into the post, okay, because they feel, Jamie does, that he has an advantage now inside with his size and strength. So they've gone away from the ball screen. Here's the power dribble. Now, you've got to dig on that. You can't let a big man just take 2 dribbles like that and go into his left shoulder jump hook. You've got to dig on him, make him give it up or get a deflection.
And Tap converts on the line, so Pittsburgh continuing to make their free throws. For Darius Rice, hard to believe that we have played almost 50 minutes of basketball, and that was his first personal foul of the afternoon. Tap makes both.
Great job again. We talked about Pittsburgh. Their Achilles heel has turned into a big-time positive for them tonight in making foul shots in a very close game down here in Miami.
And now you've got Troutman on Surratt.
It should go into the post with Rice. They're switching the ball screen. You got Darius Rice being guarded by Krauser.
Instead, Armando Surratt off the dribble, knowing he could create space by showing the ability to drive, and he got that over Sherby Troutman, a big conversion.
Well, they made Pittsburgh pay for switching the ball screen, so the advantage is either Surratt, guarded by Troutman, or Darius Rice in the post, guarded by Krauser.
What a great interior feed by Troutman, and Tap could not convert. So Miami 77-75, an opportunity to tie or take the lead with a 3 with 2:50 to go in the second overtime.
Switching the ball screens again. Diaz now being guarded by Trout. Let's see if they get Diaz the ball. That's where you got to have experience and recognize the mismatches. They haven't done that yet.
They're going to reset, and the shot clock is winding down at 6.
Perry recognized the mismatch, and they got a layup as a result.
And what a phenomenal feed by Guillermo Diaz to the cutting Darius Rice to tie this game at 77.
Well, Perry told his team to get the ball in Diaz's hands because he was being guarded by Troutman, and he could take Troutman off the dribble. That created the layup opportunity for the Miami Hurricanes.
And Miami right now in a 2-3 zone, and Pittsburgh will take their time. Shot clock at 6. Feed interior, great feed from Chevy Troutman to Chris Taft. Outstanding offensive set.
Well, what am I going to talk about? The closeout on defense. Darius Rice's closeout to Krauser. He's out of control. Krauser head fake, gets in the lane. The bounce pass again is the feeding pass. Great opportunity for Pittsburgh, but Miami has to close out under control.
And really, you got to be impressed, though, with the interior passing of the Pittsburgh big men. They really do a nice job of finding each other. And Perry Clark is going to call the one timeout afforded to him again in this second overtime period. 79-77, 1:22 to go. Pittsburgh trying to remain unbeaten here in Miami.
What keeps you from getting the exercise you need? Is it lack of time? Are you afraid of doing something wrong?
Chances are you've seen us talking about the Total Gym before, wondering, is it really as good as they say? The fact is, it's even better than we say.
So what kind of body do you want? Maybe you just want to trim and tone your body.
Or if you want the strength and conditioning of a world-class athlete or a bodybuilder, the Total Gym can help you get there faster than you've ever imagined. So why not give it a try? Believe me, once you try it, you'll be hooked on it. I know, I've used mine for over 20 years.
Now you can own the Total Gym for as little as $29.95 a month charged on your credit card. And Total Gym won't charge you a penny of interest. Our best offer ever.
To order Total Gym, call 1-800-392-5277. That's 1-800-392-5277. Call now.
We welcome you back to the Convocation Center. Second overtime, 79-77, Pittsburgh, 1:22 to go. Miami with the ball in this timeout. And, Matt, let's take a look at the remaining unbeaten teams in America. We've talked about Pittsburgh's streak being the longest, but there are some other very good undefeated teams. Who's the most surprising on that list to you?
Well, I think Vanderbilt's one of them. Kevin Stallings doing a great job with the Vanderbilt Commodores. They've got a tough game with Kentucky today. I think Wake Forest, I mean, not that I'm surprised that they're undefeated, but they have played a relatively tough schedule. So the teams that play the tough schedules, I'm a little surprised by. Vanderbilt beating Indiana, which at the beginning of the year we didn't know Indiana would struggle quite like they're doing, and Michigan at home.
And Wake Forest has already won today. Oklahoma, tough test on the road for them at Connecticut. And you saw Stanford there. They're at Arizona, and Vanderbilt at Kentucky. So we could see the longest unbeaten streak end here. We could see a number of unbeatens go down today.
That list may change.
It may change radically. Not only playing quality competition, but you look at the road games, Oklahoma at Connecticut, and certainly Vandy at Kentucky, and Stanford at Arizona. As we come back with 1:20 to go, Guillermo Diaz, the freshman, who's made 2 phenomenal shots in regulation and overtime, and Robert Height, the 3, and a huge rebound by the freshman, Anthony King, to get another possession.
Not a great shot by Robert Height. You had some time. You didn't need to take a contested 3. I'd love to see him drive it. They're so athletic in taking the ball to the basket. Again, Pittsburgh switching screens. Diaz doesn't recognize he's being guarded by Troutman. He should go get the basketball.
And right now, Surratt at the top of the circle with 10 on the shot clock. And a great steal. And Darius Rice forced to foul because Jerron Brown had the breakaway.
twice right there on the ball screens. Pittsburgh switched men, and the guards, and again, I go back to the experience, Surratt and Diaz didn't recognize that they were being guarded by post players. Surratt was being guarded by Chris Taft and try to make a play. As soon as he comes off that ball screen, he should wave his teammates down to the baseline and just go attack Chris Taft off the dribble.
And Jerron Brown with an opportunity at the line with 2 attempts to make this a 2-possession game. The glue guy has been that. He has made some huge, huge plays for Pittsburgh here in the second half. And in this second overtime, Pittsburgh and Miami both 3 of 4 from the field. And Pittsburgh now, they're now 4 of 5 from the line. And now we've got a 2-possession game. And Miami out of timeouts.
Well, now look, this is a good substitution by Jamie Dixon. He goes with a smaller lineup, so now McCarroll is guarding King. So if there is a ball screen, McCarroll's a better defender on the perimeter than Taft is.
Diaz again trying to take McCarroll. An acrobatic shot to no avail and a huge rebound. And what a great play by Height to knock that ball loose to give Miami another possession. But again, they got to go quick down 2 possessions. What a steal by Krauser. And now Miami's got a foul. Down 2 possessions. And Pittsburgh looks right now, with 15.5 seconds left, that unbeaten streak is going to remain intact.
That was a great play by Carl Krauser.
Phenomenal.
I mean, his hands on that basketball, because that was not a bad crossover dribble by Surratt, but Krauser is just an exceptional lead guard.
Just flat out picked him clean, didn't he, Matt?
It was a pick, and it wasn't such a bad move by Surratt, but just great hands and anticipation by Krauser.
And Carl Krauser making enormous plays for this team all afternoon. Boy, I know that Jimmy Dixon has certainly appreciated the job that Antonio Graves did in his interim, but having him back, and he makes both. Still a 2-possession game at 83-77, but he is 8 for 8 from the line today.
See, this is where you'd like to have a timeout. You make this 3, you call a timeout, but you don't have a timeout to set your defense, so Pittsburgh can throw it in quickly. You got a foul.
And McCarroll chooses to run back out, and they've got a foul. And they do so with 3.3, and they need Julius Page to miss both. And again, like you said, with no timeouts.
So that's why I'm from the Dean Smith School of saving your timeouts a little bit. But again, with an inexperienced team like Coach Clark has, you have to burn some timeouts through the course of the game. You can't always save them. And who would have thought this would be into 2 overtimes?
Yeah, McCarroll 3 of 4 from the line today. One of these will make it academic with 3.3 to go.
This is where Jamie, now the game is basically over, but consider taking his team off the foul lane so they don't risk getting an offensive foul, and they won't risk not having their defense set.
And Jimmy Dixon is going to call that timeout. And if you're Jamie Dixon here, Matt, it's 84-80. You've got another free throw, 3.3 to go. Miami doesn't have a timeout. Even if they run out and make.
Well, last year in this gym, all right, UConn was in a similar situation.
You're right.
And they got a little sloppy with the inbounds play. Darius Rice got a 3, and to I think put it into overtime. They ended up UConn losing the game. So I'm sure in the back of Jamie's mind, he's thinking, I want to make sure we finish the job. Let's not get sloppy here. And that's just a good piece of coaching by Jamie Dixon calling his timeout. Because if they do go down and hit a 3, you want to make sure that the right guy's taking the ball out of bounds and making the right decision.
Now, Jamie Dixon's got, I know you appreciate his quad, but I mean, he can't deal with a bunch of these. I mean, he's going to go with the guy with some of the best hair in college basketball to having no hair. He just was running his fingers through his hair as if 10 lives just went by his eyes.
He did take his guys off the lane to set his defense, and that's the ball game.
And what a test for Pittsburgh, and they passed the test. The longest winning streak in America remains intact. Now at 16, Jamie Dixon, the new head coach of the University of Pittsburgh, has yet to lose a ball game, and now they got to turn around, Matt, and play a game in less than 48 hours at home against Notre Dame.
Well, that's going to be a tough turnaround, especially with the travel. You're going a long way from Miami back to Pittsburgh.
This is conference play.
It's a great time of year.
It absolutely is a great time of the year. We certainly hope you enjoyed this double overtime win by the University of Pittsburgh. 84-80 over Miami today at the Convocation Center. For Matt Doherty, I'm Gary Williams, folks. And this has been a presentation of ESPN Plus, the worldwide leader in collegiate sports in television. From Miami, we wish you a pleasant good afternoon.